And we are live.
What's up? What's up?
Startup Ideas Brainstorm.
Startup ideas.
Saturday Jam.
Let's go.
Let us go.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Let's see how. Wow, there's 4 people, so I can see that there's people in here, and we are using this new platform, StreamYard, so we can actually bring people up, which is going to be great. So let me see. I'm going to pull up the YouTube right now. See if it's live on YouTube. Yes. Okay, perfect.
That's live on YouTube. We got Ann. What's up, Ann?
Okay, cool. Okay, Joan, what's going on? All right, give us a few minutes as we set this up, but this is going to be way better than last time because we're actually going to bring people up, so you actually can. Yeah, let's build. Let's build.
Go. How are we gonna do the inviting? Should I type a little comment, pin it to the top?
Yeah. If you don't, but don't put the link.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think what we're gonna do here is we are going to. They'll send me a message on Instagram, and then I'll send them a link to come up. Cool. So everyone, get your startup ideas written down, because what we're going to do today is we're actually going to bring you up. You're going to come up on stage, and we're going to jam live. Okay. I haven't tweeted this out yet. This is just for YouTube right now. I'll probably throw up a tweet in a bit. Give us a few minutes as we get started. This is the first time we're doing this. Hi, Greg. Our school will be in the same price. Is there a chance for lower? Yes, the school is the same price, but we're here to talk about startup ideas.
All right, send a message to Greg Eisenberg at Greg Eisenberg on IG.
Cool.
You'll get a private link,
and I'm going to send a quick tweet. I'm going to send a tweet that we're live, and I hope you're enjoying your Saturday. Jordan, what are you up to today?
I am chilling with the fam and going to a wedding tonight. So probably have some startup ideas from throwing a party or being at a party. I was in New York all week this week and went to several IRL events, and how to run an in real life event. There was tons of ideas that came to mind. So we're gonna have to think about those.
Totally. What is up in here to get some juicy ideas? Yes. Oh yeah. Give Jordan, give him a little introduction and tell us what the biggest things you learned this week.
Yeah. Jordan, I'm an operating partner at Late Checkout. I'm an engineer by training, kind of marketer by nature. Been working with Greg for about 1.5 years now, building and buying internet-based businesses powered by community and saucy ideas. Biggest things I learned this week is curation and reducing the friction to connect in real life really is so beneficial to make things happen, and the value of networks to be extracted. That was very prominent this week because we were in New York with several live events, and you just got to break through the ice otherwise, unless you're being introduced by the people putting it on. So if you're putting on an IRL event, just reduce that friction to get everybody introduced and make things happen. What's the second thing I learned this week? I don't know. Nothing's coming to mind.
Okay. Well, we got 35 people in here. I just tweeted it out. So let's wait until we get about 75 people, 80 people, and then we can get going. It might take another 5 minutes or so. So get your startup ideas going. You can have this in the background. You can be on the YouTube chat. This is easy listening. The goal of this is to really get your creative juices flowing. And you might find an idea on the stream that you might run with. And you might actually, that could be a side project, could be your main thing, could be just something you learn. I've done projects where just a little side project. Hey, I want to learn how to use StreamYard. Like this is kind of a a side project. We're using StreamYard right now to push this live, and it's new. It's a project, so that's what today is designed to do. And Saturdays are good for that. Are they not?
They're amazing for that. What are you talking about? That's what they're for. We just watched Stephen P 2003 Awkward Onyx to figure out how to go live on StreamYard and to allow YouTube comments to pop up. So thank you, Stephen 2005.
2005, baby. Oh, Rafa in the house. What up?
Love
Rafa, if you're bored and you want to come and I can give you the StreamYard link, no worries, just DM me. If not, enjoy your Saturday as a commenter. This is great. I'm
How
loving
do we
it.
feel about the new Do Within hat sample that we got?
The hat that you're wearing?
Yeah.
I mean, do things. I mean, you tell people what that is.
Yeah, this is a little hat sample I've been cooking up. So it's cut and sew for my little brand, Do Within. Do cool things with cool people in cool places. So I'm excited about the cut. I don't know. Let me hear what you guys think. Stream. This is about iteration sample number 4.
I think it's dope. I think you know what trend I'm starting to see more is just restaurants having merch. I feel like not every, but a lot of restaurants are doing merch right now, and I feel like there's a business idea around merch in a box for restaurants who don't have merch.
Yeah.
What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, I love that. And you could find those restaurants with or partner with like Google My Business basically and run like the Google My Business review playbook with, so that could be like the outbound strategy. And then yeah, I love it. I just found this brand actually in New York. It's called Dinner Service, and they basically collab with concert venues and restaurants and do like limited collection drops, like really well designed stuff with the restaurants. So not exactly the same, but I think there's a big appetite for where people go and hang. They want to wear and tell it about it. So yeah, that's it. I love that trend.
What do you think of what business model? What do you think it should be? Like if you're starting that.
Yeah. I'd probably do like a 3PL, like a third party logistics play where you have a markup on the good, but also a markup on the shipping as well. So the restaurants don't have to actually deal with any of the inventory, but you could be like a drop shipping third party logistics supplier for these restaurants. And it could even help with design. So it would be a percentage of revenue plus shipping and fulfillment. So you got kind of three tiers of monetization there. What do you think about that?
I like it. I wonder if there's just like some rev share that you can do with restaurants. It's like, hey, let's just say I had lunch at this restaurant around here, and it's one of those places that is like a landmark place that you kind of expect them to have merch, but they don't because it's been family run for so many years. And they probably just don't want the hassle of managing it. So I think going to them and being like, hey, and I think the other thing to note is these people protect their brand like no other. So I think for that, what you can do for them is say, hey, we'll manufacture it. We won't do anything without your approval and designs, which is kind of a headache, but that's a part of this business. And then we'll just split the profits 50-50. And we'll do drops too, right? Like, so for example, it's Father's Day coming up, and it's like, we'll do a Father's Day drop and you don't have to do anything. But I think the only way to do it also is if you pick restaurants who have email lists and Instagrams, and actually in this region where I'm at, they actually still use Facebook. And because you wouldn't want just to rely on foot traffic for the point of sale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would have to be You have basically the samples or like a limited inventory in house, and everything else was e-com.
Yeah, totally. Well, you've been kind enough to join and set this up. I know you've got a million things to do. Um, it's been real. Thank you, Jordan, J Mix, Jordan Mix, Twitter. Um, do do dope things with dope people in dope places.
That's it, baby.
I
We
can
love
get
it.
I can get behind that.
Yes, sir. We
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.
Peace, guys.
Cool. All right, everyone. We've got quorum. You know what that is. Startup ideas brainstorm. You bring the ideas and I'll bring you up and we can jam on it. And you don't have an idea, no worries. You just come up with what you're working on and I will give you feedback. So, how does this work? This works like this. Uh, here's the ground rules. Number one, I want that chat going 24/7 because the chat is my connection to you and and it lets me know that this is worth continuing to stream. So the chat's going, I know that I should continue to stream. The chat's quiet. I know that this isn't fun for anyone and we can all, do something else on our Saturday. So I thought this would be a lot of fun just to jam. But let's get that chat going, everyone. Let's pump it up. That's number one. Number two, for your idea, the way to submit your idea, the way to come on stage is you are going to send me your idea via Instagram DM, and I am going to, for the top ideas, I'm going to send you a link, and the link it will allow me to bring you up on stage. So that's what we're gonna do. Last time we streamed, unfortunately, I couldn't bring anyone up, and I think that sucked. So this time it's different. So for those of you who don't know, my Instagram, it should be a pinned comment, but it's at Greg Eisenberg. DM me at Greg Eisenberg with your startup idea or what you want feedback on, and I'll just sort of quickly go through it. And the last but not least, thank you, Jordan. The last but not least, can we share this on Twitter? Can we just like start pumping this? Twitter's been like suppressing algorithms lately, and it's lame. So here's the tweet. My last ask. I just want this to be fun. I want this to be a lot of people. I want you to have an audience. And I'm looking for retweets, I'm looking for likes, and I'm looking for replies. I need like a like isn't even gonna just do it because here's a tip for you. What's working right now on the Twitter algorithm is replies. The more replies you get, the more it's like love to the algorithm. Retweets and replies are what's being optimized right now. So I'll wait for you to click that link and start DMing me, and I'll be back in 2 minutes. I'm going to make a coffee, and I'm not until we get 100 plus people. I don't want to bring anyone on stage. So let's wait until we get 100 plus people. And I encourage you to bring something to sip on. Bring something to sip on. Sip, sip. You know what it is, Startup Ideas Podcast. Get your sips on, get those retweets, get those replies, and get those ideas. DM me at Greg Eisenberg. a few things to sip on. So if I've got my coffee and I'll drink that up into 100 people. Then if we get to 200 people, I'll drink this non-alcoholic Budweiser. And then if we get to 300 people, I'll drink this, a Caesar. You know what a Caesar is? It's a Bloody Mary, but in Canada, instead of tomato juice, they put clamato juice, which is clam juice. No one wants to drink that. No one wants to drink that. But if we get to 300, I will do that. So without further ado, I'm going to check my Instagram and let's see what some of your ideas are. I've only got one DM, so we are going to bring the one DM on here. I'm going to send you the link and we'll make it happen. Just figure out how to do this. Send it over. So Joshua Creed, get ready to open up your DMs because I'm inviting you, coif your hair, put on a t-shirt, do whatever you need to do. Come on, because we want to hear your idea. We want to hear your idea. And for those of you who don't know, again, you're just joining us, send me a DM. Okay, we got some more DMs are coming in hot right now. Paolo, yo, Greg, here for the live. That DM is not. No, I need more than that. I need more than that. Why? What do you got? What's the fire that you got? What do you need help with, or what startup idea do you have? All right. There's another guy I'm going to send the link to. His name is, I think Michelin is his name. And we will bring him up. Again, just send the DMs. Okay. They're coming in hot. They're coming in hot. I'm sending the link. People are joining. I think people are going to join. Get those DMs coming. Come on. All right. It's getting big. 72 people. Get up on stage. Put on your t-shirts. Get your sips read in. DM. Get ready to come up on stage. Ryan Cassidy, I got your DM. Prepare to come up on stage. Click that link. You might want to click it on desktop. I don't know. And we were going to bring you up. All right. The DMs have been set. Oh, boom. Joshua is in the house. There he is. All right. Josh, we need you to close the YouTube link. There you go.
Got it.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What do you got for us?
Yeah, it's something that I've been thinking about for a while. It's taking QR codes that are kind of dumb and making them smarter. We all know that you can have like a dynamic QR code, right? And that's just sending you to a forwarding link, right? So that way the link can be whatever I need it to be in the future. It doesn't have to be one thing. But what's really missing from the equation is the ability to contextually know a little bit more about the person. So like anybody that scans from their phone can have one experience, but if you create multiple scanning endpoints, then basically you could put it at a kiosk or a terminal, and the same QR code that you might use for, say, like a digital business card, you could use with your employees to, like, maybe HR could see like what's going on with their health insurance or what's going on from there. Like it could be an access point for a lot of different things. So I like the idea of being able to take that one code and do infinite things with it. And then for even bigger brands, take that one code and resell scanning endpoints to third parties. So if Coke puts a QR code on every single can, and I want to create an app that does something with that, I could go to Coke's platform and say, yeah, I want you to deliver me X, Y, and Z. Like, people are really into like tracing their food. So like, I've got a traceability app, and I, would love if you would provide me with data that's related to that from the same QR code.
What's the goal of your, what is the goal of this idea? Like, are you trying to build a cash flowing business? Do you want to go build something big? Are you looking to learn?
Yeah, definitely learn a little bit more, but also I think it would be just like, I want to be upstream of every QR code ever made. Like, it's kind of silly to me that people charge by the QR code. Like, it's a free technology. Why would you do that other than to like get a little bit of analytics and, a little bit of like styling on your QR code? It could do a lot more than that. I can see it helping in a few different industries too. Like, there's a little bit about this already on inventory management and seeing where things are going through the loop. Like, it would be nice if the same QR code that I did to warranty my fridge, if they printed it on the fridge, that I could go back and scan it and find water filters, and somebody to come in and help me, or they send me a recall notice or something, like it needs to be serviced. Like, it would be great if I could do everything from one QR code. Okay,
we're gonna do something fun here. Okay, you ready for it? For feedback on this? So, everyone in the chat, if you like this idea, if you think it's a good idea, I want you to type in caps locks SIP, SIP. But if you don't like the idea, I want you to type SPIT, spit. You're either sipping or you're spitting. Before I give my feedback, post in the chat. Do you love this idea? Do you sip that idea? Or do you hate this idea? Do you spit that idea? And don't be, feedback. This is a feedback zone, right? Josh is a big boy. He's okay with it. Look at him. Right? Josh, are you okay with this?
Yeah. One of many ideas.
We're getting some sips. Okay.
Validated or not. It's okay.
Sip. Okay. Sip. Spit. You got your first spit. Oh, some spits. You're getting some spits. All right. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Sips. Don't be afraid. Build up a bit to sip on. Okay. That's fair. So, sip. You're getting a sip. Okay. So, whenever I hear the word major brand, I just get a little bit scared. And the reason I get scared is, we for example, we have a innovation agency. We work with the largest brands in the world, and the sales cycles for some of these big brands is difficult. So these are one of those ideas that I think this idea should exist, and I'd love to see it exist, but I think that getting the big brands, unless you have an unfair advantage with the big brands, I'm not sure I personally would do this idea. So, I think that
would be the go-to-market. I'd have to find a different ICP for it to be
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I would say think about the ICP, and see if you can make it a bit easier to get to. It's like I was pitched on an education business this morning who the founder was telling me about his business. He's built an incredible product, but he's selling it to universities and colleges. And selling to that group is very difficult. It's kind of a similar thing. It's like selling to governments. And I think big brands are also in that category. I mean, probably not as bad as governments and universities, but it's still tough.
There's some people that are a little bit downstream, and they're kind of downstream from government regulation, and they seem like a interesting potential ICP.
Interesting.
So, like, wine producers in the EU have to put QR codes on their stuff, and you've got companies out there charging $100 a month for like 30 QR codes. And so, like, there's obviously they're kind of making it pretty lucrative, and all it does is provide information that they have to provide. And the FDA in the US has come out with a food traceability act for farmers that they're going to have to comply with. starting in 2026. So, there's that angle where you could like help kind of the underdog, the smaller people that are just like trying to do their thing that they've done forever, but now they have these like new government regulations on them.
That's right. That's right. So I think you got what you needed. You got a good idea. You got a SIP idea, but it's just got to ship that ICP. So thank you for coming on. By the way, shifting ICP doesn't mean you don't end up with big brands later. It just means that your initial ICP isn't big brands.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. You got some good feedback from Zachary. That is so much better than the original pitch. SIP. Boom. All right. Josh, thanks for joining. If you don't mind, please leave the stage because we can only have so many people. Actually, leave the browser. We can only have so many people on here. And it's been nice sipping with you.
Yeah. Thanks again.
There you go. That was cool. Next up, we're going to bring up Ryan Cassidy to the stage. Ryan, just close the YouTube thing so we don't make people's ears bleed. And let's see what he's got.
Hey, how's it going, Greg?
Oh, the founding engineer.
Well, still currently, yeah. I currently work for a fintech in London, but I'm based in Medellin. So quite far away, waking up very early. And yeah, I've been keen to start my own thing for a long time now. So I've partnered up with one of my ex-colleagues to essentially build out one of the ideas that you and Cody spoke about yesterday.
Yeah.
So essentially it's basic. Well, I'm very bad at pitching, but I'm going to try.
Give him some a round of applause in the chat. He's coming up here. It's not easy. We've all been there, and we appreciate you coming up. Thank you.
So yeah, essentially what I'm building is we want to automate customer support using AI agents and also plug in like function calling and other things like that. So the ability to make bookings, reservations, like very, very basic elementary stuff when it comes to making use of LLMs. But the struggle is we're two engineers. We're good at engineering. But when it comes to the marketing side of things, it's quite difficult to approach. And there's so many different angles that we could go at. So for now, we actually have a very basic MVP that's very general, but we want to really niche down and find our market. So I was looking for some advice on exactly how to do that and how to approach outreach. And one of my ideas, at least, was to build a customer advisory board, at least to begin with. And they don't necessarily have to be customers, but people that like the idea of the product and want to work with us in order to develop it and find a really, really good use case for it. So yeah, I was just curious what you thought about that.
Who would be can you just give some examples, 2, 3, 4 people that would be amazing to have, or even just type of customer if you don't want to name someone specifically?
Well, I actually work at a fintech right now, and I think it would be quite interesting because I understand like the compliance and the regulatory side of things, and being able to solve for something like that, and maybe being able to call up, for example, TransferWise and get an update on your balance from an AI agent would be really interesting. But again, like fintech and healthcare, it comes with those strict regulatory requirements. So we want to maybe approach, for example, something simple to begin with, like car dealerships. Something like that. But yeah, I mean, I know fintech well, but outside of that is like, and I understand the compliance and regulatory requirements, at least in the UK, where we have to deal with the FCA, have appointed representatives and things like that, where it can be very difficult. And
I think what's really interesting about focusing on fintech or car dealerships is what I found is both those groups, both those industries, they kind of follow each other. So what I mean by that is a lot of the car dealerships, whatever software one of them is using, they're going to copy each other. And it's one of those things that if you can hit critical mass with a group of them, you're able to build a big moat. So for example, we partnered with an agency that that most of their clients were in the fintech space, and they were doing mobile app installs for fintech. And it was so easy to, we don't really talk about it publicly, but it was just one of those things where they they build, you work with public.com, then you work with another one, and then you work with another one, and then they all just, you have the case studies and you've built that credibility. A lot of these businesses are about building credibility, and the product itself a lot of the time isn't. It's almost like beer, what's the difference between a Heineken and a Corona? I mean, not that much at the end of the day. It's still wheat and water. So if I were you, I would think about what is the vertical that you think makes the most sense. It sounds like fintech, just because you have an unfair advantage there because you can point to credibility. And I would think about how I can do like a cold DM campaign. I'd make a list of like the 100 founders, chief product officers, who that is, and cold DM. You'd be surprised how many people have open DMs on Twitter.
Yeah.
And what the mistake a lot of people make is, and I get a bunch of cold DMs all the time, is they just like read a paragraph of text. And what I would do if I were you is, and you're a great speaker, what I would do if I were you would be, I would just record a loom, probably like a 60 to 90 second loom, and just be like, hey, this is what I'm building. Here's why I think it's important. Actually, forget here's why I think it's important. Speak to them. Here's the opportunity. Here's where I think it can bring value to you. I'm looking for, like, make them feel special. Like, I've always loved your product, and I'd love to figure out a way to bring you in. Would you be open to something small, non-committal, 15-minute conversation?
Exactly. So this is one of the things I was thinking about is, like, for example, the company that I work at now in the UK, we basically bring people in, and these are like CFOs mostly, because our product is geared towards CFOs and kind of managing company finances. And we bring them in and we say, oh, like, do you want to become part of our customer advisory board? And a lot of them aren't even customers. But the thing is, because we're so close and we've got that feedback loop, we invite them to dinners each week, things like that. We show them the things we're working on. And the product is developed so quickly and is like so niche, it's ridiculous. So I do kind of like that idea as well. And I like the idea of a cold DM campaign, and also leveraging our credibility as two engineers who have worked in fintech for a long time. So certainly.
And I'd also consider, and maybe a part of this community, honestly, is finding a partner who is going to do who's the Cody Schneider, basically. Like, having someone who's gonna just focus on go to market completely, so that you guys can be focused on the product, because it's very difficult to just do it all at the same time.
It is, yeah. No, it takes a lot of stretching both ways, and it's draining for me. But at least I'll give it a good shot.
Well, thank you for coming up, Ryan, and we appreciate it. See you later.
Take care, man.
Take care. All right. Next, hope I'm not pronouncing your name wrong. Micah. Bringing Micah to the stage. Also, people who've sent DMs on Instagram, we've got a few people in the queue, and then I'll continue bringing them to stage. We've got 116 people here. At 150, I'm gonna drink this non-alcoholic beer, and at 200, I'm going to drink this can of Clamato juice. I said originally I think 250, but I'll do it. So share this on Twitter, share this on LinkedIn, tell everyone you can, and I'll drink a can of Clamato juice. All right, Micah, welcome to the stage.
Yeah, thanks a bunch. This is super cool. So I'm excited.
What do you got for us?
Well, so I'm a software engineer, but it's fun to think of things outside of software. And a lot of podcasts like yourself, just business ideas or business podcasts in general, there seems to just be this trend of like doing hard things. And so like a lot of folks who have kind of like quote unquote made it seem to want to go do these hard things. And so I was thinking about maybe like a travel agency where you and your group of colleagues or like other entrepreneurs would have like a predefined hard thing that like this travel agency would have done for you, and it would all be like taken care of for you. just in terms of like, so you don't even have to think about like what that's going to be, the logistics, none of that. And you'd get out of it what you'd want to in terms of like building your relationships while doing some sort of activity. As an example, something like doing like an interesting or a cool 14er out in Colorado. But there can be like quite a few logistics around that. And like that would all just be like super easy, done for you, things, that kind of thing. So basically a travel agency, but the niche is doing hard things around like a group of entrepreneurs or founders who are, you know, maybe a group of like 4 to 8, something like that, you know?
Yeah, we had a similar idea last time, and I think there's demand for it. What would the business model be?
That was something that was kind of where I was looking to get some thoughts around, because I wasn't sure how I would approach that initially.
Yeah. Well, what are your options? Let's start with that.
Yeah. So initially what I was thinking is, just to understand demand, is I was actually just going to create a couple of different options. So I was just going to create like 3 different plans, try and send it out to, you know, 100 different cold DMs and just kind of see what kind of response I get. And I would probably almost just look to, you would purchase a plan and then I would just like modify it however like would suit that group's needs. For example, like, where are you guys going to stay? Like, what kind of Airbnb? Like, I wouldn't know exactly what that might be to start with, for example. So I was almost thinking like you would just charge for just like a flat rate almost for that. I wouldn't want to do it in a PDF, maybe something a little bit more slick, obviously. But that would be one option. I guess I haven't thought through all my options.
So here, you know, travel agencies have existed for forever.
Yeah.
And I think with the internet, they just became obsolete in a lot of ways, because all the information, basically the reason why travel agencies were popular in the beginning is because you didn't have access to the information. So you'd go to a travel agency and they would book things for you. But now with the internet, you just use Google or now Perplexity or whatever. So but I still think that there's like, where is there opportunity in the travel space? I think it's in the curation of groups. So it's like, I'm going to bring together a group of people who are like-minded, and people will pay. Like, I was invited to a trip in the mountains, and I actually can't believe how expensive it is. It's $6,000 for 2 nights. And yeah, it's too expensive. But the point is, like, it's, you know, it's such a crazy, like, the itinerary is so crazy, and you know, and the people, like, the landing page has like, here, you know, I don't want to name names, but it's like you know, all the who's who in tech and like the Twitter tech world are going, and it's like, maybe I should go, you know. I think that here's where there's opportunity in the travel space. It's in curating those groups, and I think you can make margin on that. And then I also think that, and here's where I would take this idea if I were you. I would actually create, there doesn't exist the travel agency for founders. Like, I think the meaning, I think there's enough founders who identify as founders who would say, I would pay money to someone to book me stuff who understand founders and just make it easy and connect me with other founders. You know, like, let's say I'm going to, you know, Iceland, it'll connect me to the Iceland, you know, startup community or something like that. I think that there's just the reason I like that is, like, you just create a landing page, the travel agency for founders. You can still do what you want to do, which is curated groups, but I think the lead is, you say, hey, we're the travel agency, you can book with us, low ticket. Like, you don't make your money on like booking things and connecting them, but I think where you really make your money is on these like more expensive curated group travel.
But it would be that travel agency's job then to curate the people who are going to be in that group, right?
Right. Exactly.
That's kind of the opposite of what I had originally thought, where like for example, I would cold DM you, and then you would be like, oh, me, and you might have a list of like 4 or 5 friends who you immediately think of you
Exactly.
want to go with. So that's not what you're saying.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Zach puts in the chat, like, it's a cheap man's Hampton,
Right.
in a lot of ways, that's what it is. I think I love Hampton, and I think it's, I'm not a member, but from what I hear, it's an incredible experience. But for some people, they can't afford it, but they would rather put that money to going on a trip and connecting with other entrepreneurs along that trip. So imagine spending your Iceland vacation at an Icelandic startup conference. And then I think it's not that. I think it's more like Airbnb experience, but like there's founders there,
Yeah.
And the truth is, the founders in Iceland, I'm sure, would want to connect with other founders. There's something there, and I do like that you can just put paid ads. I just think that there's something catchy and hooky about the travel agency for founders, and maybe like the name is like the founderstravelagency.com. I don't know if that's taken, but we're getting a lot of sips, so people are really liking the vibe. We're getting JP says sip sip sip. You're getting 3 sips, so there's something there, and yeah, maybe you'll come back on in the future. A future startup ideas brainstorm, just to see where the idea has evolved. So concierge for founders. Yeah, that's interesting. Concierge for founders.
Well, founders travel agency is available.
Wow.
It's
That's crazy. How much do they want for it?
$10.28. Like $10.28.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, be careful with this crew, because this is the type of crew that will grab that domain. So grab it before it's too late, and enjoy. All right, awesome. Mika, thank you so much for coming on. And I'm going to take a quick look at my Instagram. And for those of you who are asking, how do you get up on here? You just have to DM me on Instagram, and then I'm going to send you a link. So boom. All right, Micah. By the way, Mike butchering your name. I'm going to send you.
No, that's it, Micah.
Cool. Awesome.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Later.
Yep. Bye.
There we go. All right. Hope you're not driving, Elias.
Hey, how are you, Greg?
I'm good, dude. I never knew you could. I mean, that makes so much sense. Like, to put your AirPod as the microphone like that. Wow.
Isn't it?
I like you already.
That's great.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, so basically right now I'm working on this software called Social Poster, which is a social media scheduling tool targeting UGC creators. And my partner is working on this agency called Get Jelly, which basically helps creators monetize through brand sponsorships. And I just feel like the whole creator economy needs a way of actually monetizing. So to be able to do that through artists, you need to basically market their songs on social media would be a cool idea.
Okay. So how would you get that? Like, how do you take this from idea to actually making it a reality? Like, how would you actually get customers? And
Yeah, so my partner already has a big audience of content creators, and through cold emails to artists, I would guess that they probably would be interested in this type of service, as it would be quite easy to actually make money through their songs, because social media opens so many opportunities in the music space. So if you could basically, as an artist, host competitions, just like on 99 Designs, for example, and then
right.
the most viral videos using your song as an artist would basically get awarded. I've already seen examples of people doing this, not with artists, but with normal brands, basically.
Right. Okay. And what part of this idea do you want feedback on? And I also want to hear from the chat. What do you think of this idea? Is this a sip or spit type of idea? I'm sorry, I gotta put you on the spot, but is it a sip or spit idea? And what part would you like some feedback on?
So I would like feedback on how to actually monetize this idea and how to also get it to the market, how to market and how to monetize it. Not gonna lie, I haven't really thought too much of this idea. It just like quickly came to me, and I would like to share it with your audience.
Yeah, I think working in the music space is if you're gonna work in the music space. I'm just laughing. We're getting some. I'm still swishing. Spit. Need more details. Sip. You got a sip from Paolo. So first of all, thank you for coming up and sharing this idea with us. Working in the music space, Ryan Hoover actually had a great tweet today. I don't know if you saw it. I'm gonna pull it up. Ryan Hoover, the founder of Product Hunt. I think he tweeted, I know it's a tar pit idea, but I'm surprised there's no Music Central social experience online at any meaningful scale. And I know this is not what you're doing, but there's so many, the graveyard of music startups or startups that cater to the music space is so big. And the reason it's so big is it's very difficult to break into. And they don't have big budgets and stuff like that. I don't think this is a bad idea, but I do think it's an idea. I would save yourself the stress and think about what's an idea, unless you're like super passionate about the people in the space and your goal is to learn. Great, but just know that you're in for years of pain. And you might not want that, or you might want it. So not an idea for me. I gotta say you got to be highly connected for this one too. So for those reasons, I'm a spit. But I like the energy, and let's see where you take it. Thanks for coming up and sharing with us, and thank you for the AirPods tip.
Yeah, have a great one, man.
All right,
Thank you.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Boom. Sometimes it's tough, right? It's tough to deliver a spit, but sometimes you just you got something in your throat and you gotta take it out. All right, Will, you're on deck, but Ricky, I'm bringing you up. Boom.
Hi, thanks for taking the time to talk.
Whoa,
So
we have a podcaster, or basically here.
Yeah, it's an irregularly published podcast, but that was the original purpose of the mic acquisition.
There you go.
So I want to get your feedback. I am a tax strategy consultant, so solopreneur, just me. And I sort of have a niche within a niche, which I know you're a fan of, but has sort of presented some problems for me. And so I'd love to get your feedback on that. Basically, my main focus is on opportunity zones. So if you've heard of that, you might have heard of it for real estate. There's not a lot of people who do that for operating businesses, but you can. So you can set up a company, and if you satisfy certain conditions and your company is of a certain type, you can basically set it up in an opportunity zone. And then when you sell it, you don't have to pay any capital gains tax. There's obviously some caveats about that, various rules about you have to put in some capital gains initially and you have to hold it for a certain amount of time, etc. And so like a couple years ago, I wrote an article that went viral on Hacker News, and that was sort of my initial launch, gave me some initial customers. But my issue has been sort of twofold. One is the business model itself. So I've basically just been doing like hourly consulting on it. And, the one of the main reasons is like figuring out how to exactly package the service has been problematic. So, I had this one guy who came, and it was like the wealth manager who had a billionaire client who had just sold a company for 8 figures, and was like, hey, we're interested in this thing, but like how exactly does this work? And so like talking through with them, basically they didn't want to, or the entrepreneur didn't want to start another company. He just wanted to take advantage of the tax strategy. But there's not really anybody who starts opportunity zone businesses. So like, unfortunately, like for me, the main way that I can help someone is like, I can help them start their own business. So like if an entrepreneur sold a company and they want to pull an Elon Musk and like take all the proceeds and roll it into the next business, that works great. But if they want to just passively invest into an opportunity zone business, I basically can't help them because nobody knows about opportunity zone businesses before they start a company. So there's just not really many that are out there, apart from like, you can find, you know, a restaurant or like some brick and mortar business that already exists in an opportunity zone, but there's not really any interesting businesses that are in opportunity zones that are operating businesses. And so I guess so problem number one has been there's sort of like a demand for, if I don't want to start a company, I just want to invest, what do I do? You know, and I don't have any businesses that I can go help them find. I know basically like I could try to start like a private equity fund, right? But then that's a whole like pipeline. And I sort of went down that rabbit hole a little bit. But so anyway, that was sort of like one option. Is like, maybe that's the better way to meet demand, is to like create a fund that goes and like seeks out these businesses, rare and far between, and then brings those to wealthier clients. The second option was, okay, maybe I go lower market, and, you know, you don't have to have a bunch of money. Like basically the opportunity zone rules, like you could have, you know, $1,000 of Robinhood gains and invest that into an opportunity zone business, you know, a new business that you start. And then when you sell it in 10 years for, you know, $50 million, it's all tax free. So that's the other option. The problem there is my customer acquisition strategy doesn't really work because nobody knows about opportunity zones before. Like typically right now,
Ricky,
I get
I gotta stop you.
Yeah.
I gotta stop you because
okay.
The people, this is a ADD group of people, you know, the startup idea is junky. Am I right? You know, this is like but I will say that there is something in opportunity zone. So let's talk about it. So I think, well, my question to you real quick is, who's building anything in the opportunity zone space? Like, are there any marketplaces? ADD
there's one called Opportunity Zone DB, which is like an online marketplace. They're basically like 506c funds will go to there to advertise. So it's larger funds, pretty much entirely real estate. There was that's the main marketplace, I would say. It's a niche within the asset management industry.
Okay, let me share my screen so we can pull this up. Is this what you see my screen?
Yep.
First of all, this is what I'm dealing with, you know? Look at this. I can't even access it, right? So this is some old school stuff, right? And where's like the list? Like, who's building the like the yield street of opportunity zones?
This is pretty much the closest thing. Like it's not a huge industry. There's not a ton. Part of it is because it's like time limited, right? So like there was an earlier version of opportunity zones called enterprise zones. Yeah. And then that law phased out, and then opportunity zones were a different version of that came about. And then it's probable that, you know, there'll be an extension of the existing law that has some tweaks in it. There's been a lot of proposals, but as of right now, it expires basically the end of 2026. So because of that, it hasn't really.
Opportunity zones expire at the end of 2026?
You have to be into them by 2026, basically. Or rather, you have to have the capital gain. So then you can hold it until 2047, but you have to have a capital gain that you invest into an opportunity zone by the end of 2026.
Okay, cool. So simple idea, I think, is Ricky becomes the opportunity zone guy. Like you get the handles on Twitter, opportunity zone guy. You talk about opportunity zones, and you create a newsletter that is like you curate the deals. Like, this is a newsletter based business. Like, I'm on a newsletter called SMB Hunter, which is Helen Guo. She basically like curates, here's like businesses that you can buy, and you know, you can learn about not everyone's buying those businesses. They're just kind of there to like learn. Like,
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that am interested in opportunity zones. I've looked at opportunity zones, but I'm just like, it's too much work basically for me to like think about it. And so I think that if you can become
And
like,
were you looking at it for real estate or for businesses, like operating businesses?
both. I looked at it for real estate, and I also looked at it, okay, let me set up a business in this part of the world. And I looked at like apartment buildings, and then I also looked at setting up like could I set up like a late checkout subdivision company in this part of Georgia, for example, and what would that look like?
You could do that part of Miami. They're all over the place.
Well, I'd love to learn more about that. And that's if I could, I probably should. And so I don't have the people in my network. So that's why I think that the education piece within no one's doing this. So you can own that territory, make it media first.
I want one feedback I would like from you. So I have attempted to do this a little bit. My main issue has been the people that, opportunity zones are inherently, it's content about capital gains.
Yeah.
And so like you're sort of the ideal person to make use of opportunity zones because you're starting multiple businesses. But aside from people who are like, they've already had some success, they're sort of a serial entrepreneur, maybe they have a couple businesses now, like that's the sort of the sweet spot. But if you are like, you've had a really successful exit and then you don't necessarily want to start another company, then again, I have the problem of like, well, they don't necessarily want to like create another company. So they would have to buy into something, or they're too early, right? And they're somebody they just never started a company. Their capital gains are not really on their radar. So I could write all kinds of content about capital gains, but it's not going to attract them because they're just, it's not where they're at. They're not thinking about that. Even the people who typically sell a company, they'll come to me like 5 months, into their 6 month period of time that they have to reinvest. And then they're like, oh, wait, this is an option. Let me like see if I can do something now. But
well, you're not really an opportunity zone guy. You end up becoming like, I'm the tax savings guy and I'm like the creative tax savings guy. And maybe that's a better way to frame it. Like maybe you're just, I figure out how you can pay less taxes, and I do it through opportunity zones. I do it through this. I do it through that.
Would you stay on the high end of the market though, or would you go lower? Because I think that's tax rate. It still appeals more to people who are, they have enough money to care about taxes versus they're earlier on starting a business. And they don't really have any income yet. So
I would cater to the high end, and then a lot of people would be like, "Oh, well, there's only like 1,000 of those people, or 5,000, or 8,000." It doesn't matter. Like, I've seen email lists that are 1,000 people make millions of dollars a year. It's just the high, if it's high quality, it's high quality. So, that's my advice to you. Can we get a sip or spit on Ricky? Can we get some sips and spits? Post in the chat if you like this. If you're new here, we do sip if we like the idea, and we spit if we do not like the idea. It's not nice of us, but we do it. And and you're okay. We got to spit. And by the way, the people who are saying he was long-winded, he's jamming. He's trying to get it out, right? We're learning, so it's okay. It's okay. We're getting some spits, but a sip. We're getting the sip. I think you're getting a lot of spits. I'm gonna give you a sip. I think that there's something here. You just have to put it together, and I'd start with an audience and just do breakdowns. I might be too smooth brain for this one. That's a good one.
Appreciate the feedback.
This is great feedback. And appreciate you coming up here.
Yeah, thanks.
Your time to bounce. We're gonna bring up Will, then we're going to bring up Zach, and then we're going to bring up Mr. Sean Power. So thank you for your patience. We're doing the best we can. All right. And can you welcome to the stage Mr. Will Lenzen Jr.
What's up, man? How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Good. What's going on?
Yeah. So
about.
So here's the deal. So I've been most of my like professional life has been as a product designer. I've worked with household names and startups and my own startups and whatnot. But kind of this parallel life that has been going on in my world since a kid is I've basically been a writer, director, world builder, all those types of things, basically deep in story. And so over the last year or so, I've been thinking a lot about like how do I merge these two lives of mine into one? And with a background in design and brand strategy, product strategy, things of that nature, I've been thinking a lot about how the structure of storytelling very much applies to how you build a strong both brand and product. And then specifically, there is a story structure that is really simple and powerful from Dan Harmon, the guy who created Rick and Morty.
Sorry, I gotta stop you. I gotta
Yeah.
stop you just because I just got a $5 Canadian.
Hey, there's your coffee.
Exactly. There's my coffee. And thank you, Sean Power, for that. All right.
Right on.
Come back in.
Yeah, all good. So basically, there's this story structure called Story Circle. It's super easy. It's 8 steps. And earlier this year, I outlined how that could apply to how you think about building a brand and product. And so, like software. And so basically, my idea is very simply this: create that structure, build a community around people who want to, build a better and stronger narrative around their businesses and help teach that. I also think that there's a potential way to use this and turn this into a research tool in terms of a SaaS product as well. Because I think obviously with AI, the jobs to be done area of life is going to be, pretty commonplace. But teaching those who can pull out nuance and pull out specifics and taste and perspective and imbue that into their business and or product experience is going to give their businesses the competitive edge. And so that's very simply what's been on my mind. I actually was writing this all out this morning, so this is good timing that you were doing this. And so curious what your take is on that.
So, and when you say community, obviously a paid community, how are you thinking about business model, and could you give us yeah.
So I'm thinking that there could be a couple different tiers, so to speak. First is, of course, having content that helps people understand. But in terms of the paid community, there could be a paid community where there's a monthly webinar, there's the course, and then a community of business builders to kind of jam and whatnot. Obviously, I could be in there as well, giving insights and stuff like that. And then that's a paid community. And then I do think that there's something interesting about how can we take what we now think of as customer research and where are they coming from and so forth, and actually extrapolate that even deeper into kind of some assumptions about your customers based on their traffic patterns and how to translate that into specific learning points that could be applied into what the story is that you're telling for your business, whether that be the marketing or how you incorporate that into specific product strategy. And that's the thing that I think is interesting here from going back to your point about sales strategy. There could be a whole course just on branding and brand positioning and brand storytelling, but there could also be a course on how do you incorporate these learnings and this perspective that you have as a business owner and business builder into specific beats within your digital product as well. And that's something that as a product designer I've been doing for almost 20 years, is that specific, imbuing holistic human experience into digital software. And so I think that's part of the competitive advantage I have here.
And do you have a name for this?
Not yet. I have a very clunky name for it, which is like the brand and product story circle. But it's no, short answer, not yet.
So I think your thesis is right. I think that in an AI world, taste and story is going to be more and more demanded by brands, and that's not a crazy leap. I think that that pitch will really resonate with people. And I don't know, I can't think off the top of my head, and we own agencies, I can't think off the top of my head of what are the different communities and agencies in that space. So I do think that there's new territory there. So I like the idea. I do think that what's maybe missing from the idea is just branding it a certain way and owning the word. The example I use often is, one of the reasons we built a couple agencies. One was called, and communities as well. One was called boringmarketing.com. And I think one of the reasons why it works, besides the product is amazing and it works, is that the idea of boring marketing, boring ways to grow your business kind of it went viral. So my only prompt to you is, what is your version of that? How can you tell that story in a way that, like, what's one term that you can own is basically what's missing. The idea around a community and how you monetize it. And that to me is like, yes, it's going to work. But you do want to,
on a strong brand to wrap it around.
Yeah, exactly. And it would make sense, especially given what you're building. So thank you for the idea. I like it. I sip the idea, but I spit the name.
The no name. Definitely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you for
Appreciate
coming
it, man.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You too. All right. Thank you for waiting, Zach. And then Sean, you are next. Boom.
What's up, Greg? Longtime follower and listener. Love the rebrand of the podcast too. So,
nice. Are you Canadian?
I'm not. No, Washington State. Close.
Okay. I could sense somewhere near the Canadian border, some like salt of the earth Midwest or Pacific Northwest or Canadian. So
no, I went to school about 20 miles south of the border, though.
Okay, there we go. Anyways, I whatever I'm hearing, I'm liking already. So what do you got for us today?
All right, man. So I worked in local government for the past decade and have just grinded through kind of the career promotion ladder and had this idea of a community for parks and recreation professionals. So I built this website and launched it in January, starting to add features here and there. And to give people a little bit of background in the local government or GovTech space, these legacy kind of trade associations kind of run the gamut. And so there's national parks and recreation associations as well as state associations.
Sorry, what's the website? I'm going to pull it up.
It's parksandrecipes.com.
Okay, cool.
And so these legacy associations charge departments or local governments, anywhere from $700 to $3,000 a year to become members or to receive access, and they get discounts on national conferences, etc. What I did was no one is really building a community for the professionals in the day-to-day.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to do was create content and have that like fun voice. Like we're in Parks and Rec, like we're, in charge of the pickleball courts, right? But then also give tactical advice on documents, because each community has a recipe, right? And it's a play on words because we are in Parks and Rec and recipes. And each recipe you can learn from that and do it a little bit better in your own community. So that's kind of the pitch. Would love to hear what you think.
Dude, I'm obsessed with this. This is the biggest sip of the day. This is so good. I like this you're speaking to my soul right here, which is you found a niche. You're speaking to them. It's not for everyone. I love like the playful branding. It's beautiful. I think the idea of like recipes. I love that you're calling it recipes. I hope as long as it connect, for me, I look at that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know if other people are like that. So my only question is like, should it actually be called recipes up top? Like, would it convert better if it, was called, guides or whatever? And then you talk about how it's a recipe, maybe, I don't know. But again, I'm not in Parks and Rec, so they might understand it better than me. I think the job board, like this idea of a job board for Parks and Recs in itself is like a decent sized business. There's like so many examples of job boards that have done well and they're great businesses. The question, if I were you, I'd be thinking about how do I like SEOify it? We've actually, boringmarketing.com has worked with a lot of job boards, and there's ways to create content to bring people here, basically. How do you monetize the job board now?
So I don't. I just launched it literally last week.
Oh,
And so, but what I would do is if you click that learn more, and maybe it's need a better call to action, but if you learn more, then people can
Yeah.
go down and they get what they're, there's two options, standard and sponsored. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's a whole cold DM campaign around here too.
Yeah.
So I think, I do think that the job board piece is going to be a good revenue driver, and yeah, I like what you're doing. This is dope. Could also see like a paid community, just for this function. I don't know if you've thought of doing like a paid membership. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I have. And so, one of my biggest, core products is the weekly newsletter. And so,
Yeah.
again, to give some background, the local government space is not innovative by any means, right? And so all these state associations and legacy associations, trade organizations are sending just the most ridiculous content to folks every week. And it's like, hey, donate, $79 to the fund so that we can get you more parks and whatnot. And no one's actually providing practical guidance on the stuff that we do on a day-to-day basis. And so, a paid membership through Beehive or a paid membership through memberships through a department is something that I have thought about before.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I like using school generally, for about 70% of. Whoa, did someone just send me? Whoa, I don't even know what currency this is, but this is crazy. Jones, hold on. I'm stopping here. This is my first time, what currency is that even? I want to, I don't even know. Someone tell me what currency that is. Does anyone know? Am I ignorant on this?
Is it a Russian ruble?
Oh, Brazilian, a real. Thank you, Jones. $5. I appreciate. I appreciate it. That's very cool. And I learned something, and I hope others did too. I use School for SKOOL for about 70% of our paid memberships. WhatsApp also is getting more and more interesting to us, as a just like a private WhatsApp, because it depends, where your consumer lives. But a lot of people, especially international, are using WhatsApp. But even in the US, it's starting to get more and more popular. But I love this idea, and I would just think those are my quick thoughts. Paid membership. This is great. Everyone should look at this, and this is the model for how to build something. So thank you so much, and good work. Major sip to you, and I'm inspired just by hearing that story. So thank you.
Appreciate it, Greg. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, Millie's in the house. What's up, Millie? All right. Now, we are going to remove Zach, and we are going to bring up Mr. Sean Power, who is someone I know, who's a friend. So cool to bring. Will be, besides from Jordan, who's a business partner with me, this will be my first friend bringing up on the stage. So let's do it. Boom.
Greg Eisenberg.
Wow. Amazing. This is how random is this live stream?
It's great. I just saw it pop on my feed. I had an hour. It was perfect. Zach was great.
Zach was great. I was like,
I have his website open. I DM'd already a friend. I'm like, yo, check this out. It's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Job,
he was impressive. I want to thank you for the $5. I appreciate that.
Got you, Greg.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And what do you want to talk about today?
It's an idea about my startup as opposed to a startup idea.
Cool. I like that.
Let's talk really briefly, if you're okay with this, about what it is that we do. I
would love that.
There's this narrative in AI, right? Like these CEOs of large AI companies that are like, we're going to take whatever, we're going to put it in a meat grinder. Out of the meat grinder, we're going to get cool generative AI things. And the meat grinder it's like a black box. It's magic. What happens inside is magic, right? And I want to consider two kind of futures. Groups of futures. It's not binary, but I think there's going to be two sets of futures that are diverging. On one side, all the stuff that you're putting side of AI, you can just take. Music, art, copyrighted content, books, photography, images. If you can find it on the internet, put it inside your AI algorithm, awesome. You get cool stuff on the outside. Or make it such that the content needs to be recognized in some way.
Mm-hmm.
In future number one, my startup will not exist, and I will have a lot of things to say publicly. In future number two, if you follow kind of like logic, then attribution of AI inputs must exist. It's impossible for it not to.
Mm-hmm.
We've created the world's first AI attribution system, and we've patented it.
Damn.
That's what we do.
Damn. That's heavy. That's heavy. I mean, I love that you're doing this, and I think it makes complete sense. Does it, just curious, like, how do you sleep at night? You know, because you're in a ring with big players.
I've never, you've seen me, we've gone up together.
Yeah.
Right. And we've both had front row seats at some amazing startups. I've never, ever been in a business operating at this speed with the amount and the kinds of people that I and our team are talking to on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, that's really, really cool, because you're feeling like I mean, I'm sure you're learning like crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you're like, if this works, this is like historic. Yeah.
This is a unicorn. This will change an entire vertical, potentially the path of humanity in a small way. And it's not for us. It's for the artists, the creators, the people who are amazing, who are creating amazing human content. Your stuff, like your podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Like all of the amazing things that you've put into your newsletters that people can learn. It's about your recognition.
Yeah. Well, I hope it works, and I hope that, like, who do you compete against, I guess?
I think like right now we're competing against massive companies whose business it is to try and monetize their AI without, as much as possible, without needing to kind of do things that look like royalties, recognitions, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine too. And I think as a consumer, I don't want the platforms and the large companies to own everything. I think it's important that there's startups and ideas that come up from, mom and pop, basically, teams, or small teams that, could potentially turn into big companies. But I love the fact that you're in the arena. I will say I'm scared of the arena, but that's just personal choice. But it's cool that first of all, thank you for sharing this, because I think a lot of people here they're torn between, should I build a startup idea that's just kind of like a cash flowing type thing, or do I go and change the world, basically? And what's cool is that you've come here and you've shared that. I mean, how big is your team now? Like, where are you at, I guess, in the business? And it sounds like you've grown since last I spoke to you.
Greg, this is actually one of the first times that I've talked about our startup publicly.
Wow.
And, of course, better to do that than with you, right?
Impromptu.
Yeah, it's like it's certainly one of the only times. It is, I think, the first time that I've ever do this with an audience that I don't know, that I can't qualify.
Can we? Can I pull it up? Can I? What's the website?
Of course, wearemusical.ai. So the inputs are from rights holders, right? And we just decided to go after music rights holders first.
Yeah. Damn. First of all, I love the manifesto. As like, I feel like everyone should put a manifesto, like what you believe in. Doesn't
It
matter.
it has holy, I can't tell you the amount of like huge as in like they're very well-known industry executives who've told me that they read the manifesto and it really resonated with them. It has worked wonders for us.
Yeah. My only small piece of feedback is I would actually put here, like, share the manifesto.
Great idea.
End, call to action.
Great idea.
It's really good. It was called, oh yeah, it was called something else before. Tell me about the name change. Obviously, I'm curious.
We just wanted, so first of all, people thought that we were a sommelier startup. It actually stood for Sounds of Machines Making Sound. And we just wanted kind of a fresh start as I think, like, you know, one of the wildest parts of this ride is that it's the largest enterprise rights holders in the world who asked us to build this.
Yeah.
And for a whole bunch of reasons, this unlocks a huge amount of revenue for them. It's, you know, important and all of that stuff. But beyond that, like, we were really led by the market as a result of technology that we created. And we wanted a fresh start with that.
How did you recruit your team? Because
man, it was a whole ride. It took time. Like, I curated it in the same way that you curate so many of your guests on your awesome podcast, right? I was really intentional about who I wanted, and I approached them, and I did a hard sell. I went to my network. I asked my network, do you know anybody who is in a space that understands music and, you know, has a PhD in the generative space? I wanted a music executive, and it actually turns out that we get along so well.
And what advice do you have for people who have an idea but are looking to recruit team members to do their idea with?
Yeah, I think like a thing that people forget, especially in Canada, is that there's this kind of like group of people that we think about that we think that we could just never get access to, or we could never convince to do this. And that's where I want to go first.
Cool.
I go to the people who are famous in their field, famous in their domains, and I have that conversation because I know how excited and already well entrenched they are in the business.
I appreciate that.
I used to use Beatport every day, and then I convinced the CEO of Beatport, who sold the company after being CEO for 5 years, to join my team.
Legendary. Well, that's inspirational. I appreciate you coming up here, and I'm just going to invite a couple more people before I have to head out. I can't believe it's an hour and 25 minutes in.
You're doing great, Greg. Love all of this kind of content that you're creating. So many people are benefiting from it. I benefit from it regularly.
Honestly,
you're the best.
I'm loving just like, this is so cool. Like, you're coming up, other people coming up, we're talking ideas. Like, it builds me up in terms of energy. But I was talking to someone else before this who he was like, oh, you're gonna spend like an hour plus doing that? Like, don't you have something better to do? And I was like, what that's better?
That's not,
so lame.
Yeah.
Tim Forkin, get up. I see you're in here. Tim Forkin is a really smart guy. So okay, I just invited a couple more people. I know I have like 50 DMs, so I'm trying to do as much as I can. Sean, thanks again for coming, and thank you again for the drink. Appreciate it.
Later.
All right. So I could use like a second. Is that okay? So I know that I said, what did I say? At 150 people, I drink this non-alcoholic beer, but I'm going to open it at 126. Boom. It's sip time, baby. It's sipping time, baby. So I don't know if they have this in I don't know if anyone knows. Does anyone have this? Do people know if you have this in the States? I haven't seen it, but it's just Budweiser Zero. It's pretty good. It's not the best non-alcoholic beer I've had, but it's pretty damn good. So, all right, I'm gonna invite, for those of you new joining, the way to get on here is you send me a DM on Instagram. I'll try to send you a link to join. I'll probably do this for another little bit. And all right, I'm throwing the link to a few people for right now on Instagram. What is the best non-alcoholic beer? I like Brewdog, and what's the other one? Not Athletic Greens. Athletic Brewing. Athletic Brewing. It's pretty good. It's quite good. You want to hear something weird? While we're waiting, I'm here in Quebec, and in Quebec, cheese curds are like a thing, and they just kind of like sell them. And I was at the farmer's market, and they sold me a bag of cheese curds in a Ziploc. Like literally looks like drugs or something. People just eat this thing, and they just like leave it out and eat it. So I'm gonna try one. It's like super squeaky. Yeah. Wow. Hell yes. That's right, Sean. Sean knows what's up. This bag was actually sponsored by John Power. Thanks for the tip. All right, Paolo, welcome to the stage. You're here. You're on the stage, Jonas. Or sorry, not Jonas. Paolo. Jonas, you're up next.
Hey, Greg. Wait, hold on. Let me just connect my mic.
All right. We're gonna give you we'll bring you back on. We're gonna bring Jonas on first. Jonas, you want a bus or a train?
I am. Yeah, I didn't expect you to actually send me the link so fast. So I'm going to Founders Inc. right now on my way there.
Founders Inc. in SF.
Yes. That's the place.
I love this.
Yeah, really nice. I mean, like the best place to be if you're trying to build something meaningful. I'm gonna jump out of the bus so we can have a chat.
I was in Founders Inc. in a few months ago in San Francisco, and it was the best energy I've felt in a long time. It was crazy.
Nice. Yeah, we're having a nice barbecue on Sunday, so it has all of it, right? The hard working and the good times too. So
Totally.
Sweet.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, man. Thanks for inviting me. Really appreciate this, and thanks for doing Community Empire. I belong to that too. Yeah, it's cool stuff you're cooking. I'm trying to do something cool as well. I'm trying to do something that's meaningful, and the idea behind our product Scammer Block is every single year in the US, $28 billion are being scammed from older adults being 60 plus. And for about 40% of those, the phone call is the first touch point, right? And what we are building is basically a first-line defense tool for older adults, or actually anyone in the world, to protect themselves from spam and scam calls. So the way it works is that we have an AI agent that works as your AI secretary, right? Yeah, works as your AI secretary, and it picks up the unknown incoming calls, so you don't have to. And what you do is then you receive a very brief message saying, hey, this is Jonas calling. That's the purpose of his call. And he is, he's probably a legit guy, right? Or if they find that this is like a more of a scam theme, then they will say, don't call this person back, call someone you trust, yada, yada. And then the cool thing also that we added is a secret phrase. So a secret phrase is basically something that proactive families do between their family members. is that they create a secret phrase to share when someone is calling and someone is in an emergency, right? So there was quite a few stories where people were using someone else's voice to clone it using AI, right? You just need about like 10-15 seconds to have a pretty legit sounding voice. Yeah, so that's what we're working on, and oh man, to sell to older adults is so difficult. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
like, it's intense. They are not the early adopters. They're not the innovators. You know, what they need is someone from the TV that has been on there for 30 years, marketing your product, right? That's what they're looking for. So my main question is, like, what I'm trying to figure out now is go-to-market strategy, right? So our current approach is that we're looking into like the younger audience, so like grandkids or the kids of the older adults, and trying to onboard them, kind of provide them value, because you still get some. But yeah, I'm kind of thinking if I should lose the idea of this older adult market, or should I kind of continue?
So I've actually got experience in the older adult space, and I can share some learnings.
All right.
With. So one of our clients was one of the largest centers for older adults, and so we were helping them with innovation. And
Right.
I'll tell you a little bit about some of the learnings I had there. One is older adults actually don't like to be sold to as older adults.
Right.
So they don't see themselves as older adults.
For sure.
They see themselves as themselves, right? So
Yeah.
we checked, we would do A/B testing to see with an image of someone who has gray hair versus someone who has brown hair, which would convert more. And we were like, of course the gray hair is going to convert more, right? But in fact, the brown hair converted more.
No, for sure. This is the reason why we kind of rebranded just like 3 days ago, or like 4 days ago. We had the pink, beige, brown, gray people on the website. So now we went more like, yeah. I read the book. It's called Staging, Not Aging. I don't remember the author, but they were exactly talking about this, that older adults, they are not, you don't call them older adults, right?
Yeah.
It's just like for you to kind of understand, but it's usually a stage. It's either like a learning or a renaissance stage, as they call it. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
So that's just one sort of thing that I learned. The second thing is, well, this is for you specifically. You're going to have your website, which is really going to be focused on the parents of older adults. Sorry, the children of older adults. Like that's the way I would think about it. Is like you have your, like the website's for the children of older adults, and the goal of the website should just be like, the copy should be like, your parents might get screwed,
Right. You're going to lose your inheritance, right?
You're gonna exactly, and being fun and cheeky and creating a video about it,
Right.
like not a product video. It's like a fun video around it. I think that is something I would do that I think would work. I would also, I would be basically selling this to, AARP, all the older adult centers as a part of value add. Have you spoken to a lot of those folks?
I'm trying to get access to them. I bought a suit, and I bought a ticket to Boomers Venture Summit in San Francisco next week. So I'm heading there, and there's gonna be a lot of folks that the goal is to talk to. Yeah,
I gotta stop you. We got Cody Schneider in the house. I can't even believe it. The man, the myth, the legend. I'm gonna just send you, Cody, the if you're around, I'm gonna send you the link. So I would think about that. I'd also think about, how do you get this integrated on phones, like OEM style?
Right.
So,
yeah, our initial idea was maybe landline, but then we learned that we cannot forward the call back, so it would be like an infinite loop. But there are ways we can add actually like some hardware elements to that end, and on the smartphone side, an app would be the best way. But our solution currently runs no app download needed, nothing. It's just like native setting on iPhone, silence unknown incoming calls, and then you forward the calls to unknown incoming calls to an AI agent, and it sends you a message. It's a very native experience. Yeah.
You know, not a lot of people know this, but you know, you can literally pay to be on phones. You know that, right?
What do you mean?
So like you need an Android app, but you can pay for installs. Like you can do a deal with Motorola, and so it's pre-installed on people's phones.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So
anyone still buys Motorola's though?
Well, I mean, people buy Android, you know, Samsung, you know.
Right,
so
right.
Okay. There's these agencies that manage everything for you. You can check them. They're like Google it later, like app install OEM agencies. And I think just having that as a value add, because like for Motorola, let's just say, or Samsung, like this is a huge opportunity. Cody says this is 100%, 1,000%, not even 100%. This is 1,000% an ASO play for install if app.
Nice. That's cool. One last thing. What we actually did yesterday, we cloned the voice of Ricky from Rick and Morty, and we're gonna use that to answer the voicemail, right? So it's kind of like we're looking at this sort of a bit of like a kind of Gen Z angle that we can explore to because we saw like there's so many videos on TikTok and YouTube that people are actually fooling around with those scammers and spammers. Would be quite fun, you know, to kind of have your like any character that you wish to answer your phone calls for you. Donald Trump.
Yeah, right? I agree with Cody. Like it needs to be social content and fear. Like that's what I think too. It's like if you just change your copy and positioning to be like your parents are getting scammed, someone lost $1 million, I think and I think it is really focusing on the children and maybe giving them free, like, do you do a free trial now?
No, right now it's a 30-day no questions refund policy, right? So we want to test the conviction, but we can refund like immediately, basically. So
I mean, you're onto something here. I love the idea. This is a huge sip for me. I just think that the positioning and the go-to-market is where you can, you know, is the next step.
For sure.
Yeah. So thanks for the idea and keep us posted.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Jonas.
Ciao.
Send my regards to Furcon and
all right, we'll do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. We're gonna bring Paolo back. Boom. Paolo.
Hey Greg, how's it going?
Oh, you're buttery smooth now.
All right, so I'm not really gonna waste your time, but pretty much I've got a fun little free tool idea. So bit of background. So pretty much I've got a small free community of like 500 agency owners. I just grew it from my personal brand and my connections. And I run an agency myself, kind of similar to your company. You probably need a robot. So basically implementing AI into other businesses. Specifically, we work with like marketing agencies. And basically from running this agency, I've been trying to pretty much like improve on my content and specifically on LinkedIn. And I kind of, the analytics on LinkedIn, they're not very satisfying. And I felt like there could be some work done. So I was just thinking, I've seen this done with LinkedIn with Twitter, with an app called uglyduckling.app, I think. And they pretty much just do a Chrome extension with Twitter analytics with some nice UI, and then they basically got some leaderboards.
Okay, hold on. Uglyduckling. What was it?
App. Yeah.
Okay. Whoa.
Yeah, so something really just like this, but for free. I mean, just to kind of just build more of an audience, build more of like some emails and that kind of stuff. Some kind of Chrome extension probably. And then some leaderboards. So like a leaderboard for growth, a leaderboard for consistency, and just to kind of keep people accountable, and then also be able to actually, see what content performs best and kind of analyze it. I guess
this is I've never seen this. This is really cool. But if you're making it free, how do you monetize it?
I mean, I don't really need to make money right now. I'm just trying to build assets like email lists and audiences to later on, because I'm 16. Like my parents pay for, I'm lucky enough to be in a household where I've got access to a computer and Wi-Fi. So I'm just,
Yeah. Well, Cody says, won't want to build. What's the offer done for you automation? Why do they want to be accountable?
I would say they want to be accountable so that they post consistently and actually get traction from their LinkedIn, and I guess get leads from their LinkedIn. That's why I want to stay accountable, at least from my own experience.
Do we know how big Ugly Duckling is?
They've got some hundreds of users. I don't know how many are paid, but it's just an indie app, I believe.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, first of all, you're 16. You speak very eloquently. You're doing cool things. I'm impressed. Cody's gonna find out how big it is. Just give him a second. And we need to just pump Paolo up and give him a sip, just because he's a legend. You're a legend. You can come up anytime you want to come up.
Thank you, Greg.
And I think that with this particular idea, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, I have a feeling that the market is small. So I think about I'd like the idea that you're like, okay, what can I give away to get emails? Like that concept to me is, makes a lot of sense. I'm just not sure that building this tool, which will take up a lot of your time and energy, is where I would be doing it. So your goal is right. Your goal is right. But what's something else that you can create that will be?
So I got this landing page and I got the domain called LinkedInhunter.com. The domain has nothing to do with it, but I kind of noticed that when, at least from my experience, and I know I have this community so I can ask all the people, but pretty much like lead generation is still a big problem. Like even with, Apollo.io and all these big players like Zoom Info, people want like these not personalized, I guess, very niche databases. So I've thought of making just a database where people can get lifetime access. I'd probably give them you can see it on the website. I've got a free sample, but probably like a lot bigger free sample. And then pretty much then actually sell something like lifetime access to it. And even with the updates, whereas other players are basically selling for export searches. So like you can get access to 100k leads, but you can only export like 2.5k. It's kind of useless. So instead you basically make it just lifetime access. You get all the leads you want. Yeah.
We need to get you some. I know you're at your parents and you don't need the money, but the recurring revenue, it's not about the revenue, it's about the value that you're providing. So I think and I understand, like, the domain LinkedIn Hunter is dope. And I know Tweet Hunter was acquired for like $10 million or something like that. I just don't know if that's the product. So that's my quick feedback on that. For those of you who want me to drink the Clamato juice, it's now become warm. So there's only one thing worse than the Bloody Caesar. Cody, you'd probably hate this. It's a Canadian Bloody Mary. It's the Bloody Mary with Clamato juice. No one wants to drink that. I said if 200 people join, I'd drink it. But you're right. I think I do need to drink it for 16-year-old Paolo. But a warm one, like, I don't know. Give me a second. I'm gonna go put this in the freezer. We're gonna bring up Yash. in the house. And while I put this in the freezer, you guys could hash it out. Yes, you're live, dude. You're live.
Yeah, I was just waiting for you. I don't want to be rude and just start chilling before you're here.
No, before, what do you think of this idea? And do you have feedback? What would you do if you were Paolo? Oh, Paolo, I was gonna get you extra feedback there.
Yeah, I would agree with Cody that you don't want to initially build too much software because these types of tools, and if you're building on top of Twitter API and stuff, he's saying it's quite risky. So I think super hard to build. But Paulo is a legend, and he said he has emails of 500 agency owners, right? So I think he could, and he has this community, so he can monetize that in like so many ways. Like there's a huge productized service CRM kind of thing that people are. Have you seen many requests and all these kinds of stuff? Like everybody is racing to build the ops side of stuff for agencies, right? So I would look around in that space.
Yeah. I mean, I kept getting asked, oh, where can we find lead gen tools? Where can we find leads? And then I gave them all the tools, and they kept asking. So clearly, like, it's not cutting out for them, or something's wrong. I don't know, but also just my experience. Like, I feel like paying for something more niche, like Greg says, niche of a niche, might be more worth it for some of these people, especially I guess I do need to work and find a way to monetize in a recurring way. But yeah, where you can basically not pay for searches or for exports, but just pay for the leads that you use, or something along those lines.
No, 100%. And I just saw a tweet about how big Zoom info is, right? Maybe the leads are not something that you differentiated, but people are building all sorts of AI tools on top of lead gen tools, right?
Yeah.
That's what I have to say. Have you seen Google My Business leads like multiple years ago when the internet was in its dark forum era and we didn't have Twitter? People used to build tools that could scrape like local businesses, because local businesses are the best leads, right? So
yeah,
maybe you could go super local with this and not with like too wide.
I mean, that's what I did when I was cold calling. I would scrape Google Maps. I just banged out like 3 hours of cold calling when I didn't have school. I booked some meetings that way, and ended up working with some of the biggest marketing agencies in the UK somehow just from cold calling. But I think there's just so many now to scrape those local businesses. Like, I think it might not be worth it anymore.
Paolo, where can people find you to follow you on Twitter and stuff? Put it in the chat.
You can just check out my YouTube, which is just there. I've got links to communities in the description, or
give us your Twitter too.
Okay. One sec.
The God has
what up?
Graced our presence.
Got my Sauron shirt on. We're here.
What are you sipping on?
Chaos.
Yeah, I can't believe you're joining us.
I got 30 minutes, so we're gonna rapid fire. All right. I'm not allowed to work on Saturday, but I've been allotted 30 minutes.
I didn't know you were an observant Jew.
It's a little weird.
You do a little of everything.
Little of everything, but if you have a community of agency owners that are they're like asking you, how you doing leads? How you doing leads? That's basically them begging you to do lead gen for them. That's especially if you gave them all the tools and then they're not providing that back. That's 100% what's happening. So like if I was in your shoes, I would offer some type of done for you service. Say, hey, this is going to be priced at $2,500 a month starting 60 days from now. You can get access to it right now for $1,000 a month, right? As an early beta user. And then basically you just go and spin up like cold DMs and cold emails for them, right? And just become God at that. Understand how to use these tools, and how to access all these databases. So if I was in your shoes, that is something that I think is the super easy path forward. Building the tool piece, like I think once you have the cash flow from this, then you can start looking at this tool component. And this is typically how these agencies function. A great example of this is the company Leadbird. So what they do is they're basically like a done-for-you cold email service, right? They have all these agency clients, but they've built this like massive data set that they've then cached of all of these basically they've scraped tons of databases. Think Apollo, Snowve, any of these. And then what they're doing is they're basically storing it, and then they provide access to those databases with like one-time purchases and fees. So basically you can go and use, I think it's called like List Builder or something. I'll find the website. It's like List.io or something. I can't remember the name. We use it, but basically you go and you pay them. I think it's insanely cheap. It's like 50,000 emails for like $150, right? Now the emails aren't super like clean. They're not like crazy validated. But just use a tool like Zero Bounce or any of these email validation tools. And you could even build that as a service on top of it. But anyway, yeah, I mean, if you have people asking you how do you get leads, and then you providing them all the steps to get that, and then them not wanting to do it because it's like time that's needed. If they're making revenue, like this is this is an easy done for you service. That's like your agency services other agencies. That's a massive cash flow opportunity, especially at 16. Man, I wish I was doing stuff like this. I was doing like print on demand bullshit when I was your age. So
I tried that.
I mean, there's cash in it. Honestly, you can make a ton of money on that, like on Etsy.com, just doing like, especially with AI generated images. You find all the long tail keywords related to like shirts. Use a tool like Everbee or Crestful to like find the top like performing products that are for a specific keyword phrase. But again, just another option. I think it just depends on what your goal is. Like, are you trying to get clout? Are you trying to get money? There's different paths forwards with this. Like, if you're trying to get clout, then the tool thing might be the path, right? But if you're trying to get money, then you're sitting on, 500 people. If you get 1% of those to convert, right? Like, just do that math right now. Like, that's 5 people, and they're paying you, we'll say $1,500 a month. Like, at that point, you're doing $7,500 a month at 16. You put a rollie on your wrist in 90 days, right?
Totally.
You just go and start flossing on all your classmates if you really want. Again, it just depends on what you want with this.
And like money at 16, just by the time you're 36, that money is
100%.
worth so much, right? Like
100%. 10 grand when you're 20, what that turns into when you're 30 is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Like if you can get that cash flow to be happening at that, at that young of an age. So.
Yeah, no, I did just want to say, like, because what I noticed is a lot of the agencies that I hop on discovery calls with, even though like I have a dev team and we can really build out these complex AI systems, a lot of the time they just want help like with outbound and like having an outreach system and having like AI appointment setters and that kind of stuff. And that's probably been my most common request. So that's kind of something that I'm thinking of just like doubling down on, and then also using the community as a funnel. I'm thinking of maybe making, I don't want to take up too much time here, but making a paid community on top of it as a low ticket offer. And then also, having my agency as a high ticket offer.
I would think about this is layers, right? So you have top of funnel, which is going to be probably like For You page content. Think Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. That leads into some type of community that's like free. And then what you're trying to do is basically build own media with them. So like some type of email newsletter or whatever. And then you're just basically, and probably YouTube videos as well, like you talking through, here's how to do lead gen. And then just like, here's 15 minutes of you doing, insane lead gen work. But I'm going to, if I'm a busy professional that's running an agency, like I'm going to watch that. And there's either two camps I'm going to be in. I'm going to go and implement that myself, or I'm going to be like, this is a massive time suck. Can I just hire this kid? And then as you have an offer in front of them, that's an easy upsell, right? Like they just consumed hours of content with you talking about, how to do this thing that they're trying to accomplish. So you've already got trust and buy-in. You've illustrated that you're capable of this. So it's layering those things together, right? I think that's how, again, you can build out agencies or just service companies right now at scale.
Yeah, definitely going to double down on YouTube. I've been doing it for a bit, but got to be more consistent.
Dude, I just I did a post like things I wish I knew in my 20s the other day, and my number 3 thing was be a YouTuber, and I was just like, post every day, just figure out a way to post every day, and
about anything,
about anything, starting when you're 20, and by your 30, you will have 100,000 subs.
1,000%.
No question.
And then that own media channel just turns into top of funnel, right? Because like you have so much, like I think the thing that people don't realize with like shorts, and I see this all the time, they're like, yo, I got, 10 million views on shorts last month. I'm like, sick. Did you sell anything? They're like, no, I didn't fucking sell a single thing. It's because nobody actually buys from shorts unless you're doing UGC and like, something that's like direct to consumer where it's like an impulse purchase. But if you're trying to do high ticket, you have to basically use the shorts as a vehicle to get them into something where it's more long form. Think of it almost as like a VSL, like a virtual sales letter, where you're then, it's a 40-minute video of you talking through some process that you've crafted or created. You can show them step by step. But again, it's like the implementation of that. It's 40 minutes for you. It takes them 20 hours. And they also have to have a team member that's managing it. Right. So it's going to be cheaper for them to just hire you at whatever, $2,000 a month to run that whole thing for them. So.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I have run channels in the past, like which have done pretty good, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of a different game. It's more about the leads and not the, the clout vanity metrics. I guess it's more about, the actual revenue. So yeah.
Dude, I'm obsessed with you, Paulo. I'm quite obsessed with your vibe. I think you're gonna do big things, and you're doing big things, which is crazy. And so, thanks for coming up here. Thanks for coming up again. And
I would pick the thing you want, though. That would be the last thing I'd leave you with. Is like you decide what you want, like lifestyle wise. Like again, like it can be for clout, right? Like we've all done stuff like this, where it's like, I'm just doing this just so I can have graphs that look ridiculous, or whatever, or build some type of thing that everybody knows about. But a lot of the times, like what ends up happening, you're going to do that. You're going to be like, okay, that was easy. Like now, how do I basically, build some type of like, revenue generating thing or whatever, because then that turns into this whole other game. Right. And like, as soon as, you've probably already made money on the internet, so you already understand this, but you're going to make all this compounds and levels up. And then suddenly you look around, you're like, I don't know how the fuck I got here, but it's been 10 years of it. Right. So
yeah.
Anyway, you're gonna crush it, man. Whatever you do, I think it's just like deciding what you want and then building out the business or whatever it is behind that to like accomplish that, whatever that goal is. So,
yeah, thanks a lot for the insights, guys.
Totally.
Definitely gonna.
Don't forget about us when you're big, though.
Yeah,
100%.
Greg, can we screenshot this so that we can tweet it once Paulo becomes like a legend? I mean, he already is, but like discovered on this.
Totally, Paulo. Get out of here. Get out of here. You're too good. You're too good for us. All right. Thank you. Yash, what's your idea?
Yep. So let's dive straight into it. Greg, I sent you 3. Do you want me to pick my favorite or can I go with?
I want you to pick your favorite.
Yes. Okay, let's go. I think Cody will love this because he likes digital products. And my idea is very simple. You know how everyone is building AI YouTube thumbnails and there's this huge race, but the biggest problem with AI YouTube thumbnail makers is they'll generate you a thumbnail, but you can't use that. You need to edit it. You need to take that. It's one flat file. Anyone who runs a YouTube channel eventually needs like the work done, but they want to put some sort of, they need a layered version. Yep. No AI tool can generate this. So my idea
is I want to company. Sorry, go ahead. I won't cut in, but go ahead, please. Sorry.
Yeah. So my big idea is like, fuck AI. I own a very sick domain called thumbnail.market. I was like, what if I hire kids in India to just make the like literally Canva, PSD, Figma templates? By the way, nobody is doing this. And I can see smoke signals on Etsy, right? If you go to Etsy, you'll find the shittiest templates there that are making like 200, 300 grand a year. And like whoever I tell this idea, they're like, why can't Canva do this? Canva has YouTube templates, but they're really shitty. Like no YouTuber would, in their right minds, would use it, right? So my idea is very simple: build a marketplace of YouTube thumbnails, and nobody else is a seller.
Yep. So I would make this a subscription, offer a free pack, right? So it's going to be a pack of 10 to 20 that they get access to. That gets their email, and then I would upsell them. If you're a YouTuber that's legit, you're making videos constantly, right? So you want basically access to these layered templates that you can use. Sorry, just to connect this to another idea. So that I just saw this company, and it's basically like clips, but they're like their whole thing is like, hey, we're building these layered XML files that you can import into Premiere and then edit the clips basically that we provide you, right? Because like what AI we're seeing happen is like it's really good at getting at 80% of the way there, but that last 20% it's really shitty at, right? And so that's where the human, like the expert, comes in. But if we can do all the heavy lifting, that 80%, like then, you know, there's a value add there. There's some, you know, some capture, like revenue capture that we can create. But the idea we talked about with Greg on his podcast, the Cricut idea, I would just take that same thing where it's like, imagine you have 100,000 different templates that they can download, but there it's a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription that they get access to. And then to your point, you just like use global talents and make these out at scale, go find the best ones, like source them in, and then build these layered files. Are they using like Photoshop, or what's the tools they're using typically to build these out?
I'll make it on Figma, and then we can give it to them on Canva. I will give them every possible editable software that the world that's popular. What do you think of putting up? So another thing that I want to do for free traffic is MrBeast launched a version of this, but my idea is like, if you're a YouTuber today and you want to see what are the top thumbnails in your like niche, it's quite hard to do it on YouTube because you get a lot of spam and you only see 8 videos. So I was thinking, I found a script that can just scrape like millions of YouTube thumbnails.
That could be your lead gen, right? Your top of funnel, right? Is like, and then what I would do is cold email. So you can scrape YouTubers' emails, right, from their profiles on the about section. You can go hire somebody on Fiverr. You can probably scrape 100,000 emails and cold email all of them with like, yo, I've got this free thing for you. It's this library. Signs them up, right? I mean, at that point, you could probably just put them into a drip nurture even, and then just like upsell them access to this thing. But I would just try to like, there's some type of offer and then some type of subscription. Because I'm just thinking about the people I know that are in this space. Like they're constantly doing this, right? Like it's like, you know, they all like everybody that I know that's like pro at this is like, they have all of these templates that they've saved over time, and then they're just reusing them over and over again. Yeah. Like all you're saying is, hey, we're just providing that as a service for you. And it's like this. I mean, really what this play is probably like, you know, what traditional stock photography was, right? So like, look at the business model of a Shutterstock where it's like, hey, you can pay for like 25 of these photos or 25 of these thumbnails, and it's at a higher price point, right? Say it's $50 for the 25, or you can just get, you know, a yearly
whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. For whatever, $199 a year or whatever that price that makes sense based off of the business model. But I mean, I think this is a brilliant idea. I think it's now, you know, it's just figuring out what's that off. The hard part will be figuring out what's the offer to get them initially there. Once you have that, then it's drip nurture, you know, sell them into that subscription.
You guys want to hear? So I have like 60 emails. I know that's not huge, but it's a very funny story on how I got it. So there was a YouTubers conference that was happening in Dubai. I was invited. I made this website literally in the flight. It's a really shitty website. I was thinking I should wear this website's logo on my t-shirt and then just reach people there. But I thought that's a shitty idea because that's selling. So you know what I did? I wore YouTube's t-shirt in that thumbnail. So because it was a YouTubers conference, so everybody thought I worked at YouTube and they tried to pitch me. And I was like, okay, I don't work at YouTube, but hey, this is my idea. And people actually gave me their emails like manually, and I have like 60 odd emails for this stuff. So
it's amazing.
It's quite interesting. You can just hack conferences.
To piggyback off that for anybody that's listening that's trying to do in-person events, that's actually a way to get people. So the goal of in-person events should be trying to get people to go to your booth, right? So if you have a booth there, you're trying to get foot traffic to happen. So there's a couple things that you can do to make that happen. You make an Instagram trap. So like, you know, something where you print out a photo and they like, you know, it's like they actually like stand in front of one of those stupid signs that's like, you know, like the neon signs, right? With the green walls. Have it be like loud music blaring and people dancing, just like literally like just hire people. And their like whole thing is they're just going to dance like the entire event. And then what we ended up doing when I was at Rupa is we had people like dressed up in some type of themed costume every time. So like one year we did like astronaut suits, right? And so then we'd have two pairs of people walk in astronaut suits around the venue. And people would be like, why are you dressed like that? You know, like what, like, so immediately like, oh, we're with this company. Here's the booth number, go there. So it creates inbound traffic. As soon as a crowd is around that booth, you're going to get more people to naturally come. It's just like the effect of it. And then the other thing you can layer on is have some type of giveaway that's for their kid that's too big for them to carry inside of a backpack. So think like a huge teddy bear, right? And so it has to hang out of their backpack. And what you'll get is inevitably people will be like, "Hey, where'd you get that?" And it creates more foot traffic back to the booth. So anyways, that's how you can hack like in-person events.
Yeah, Greg, one last thing before I know I've taken too much time already.
No, you're good.
What I was saying was Another go-to-market strategy was like, you know how sometimes certain VCs write a state of AI, or they'll write a state of certain industry. I think I want to publish a report called State of YouTube Thumbnails, and just say that, okay, red color dominated in this niche, this font size, or this stupid face, or these patterns, and just release this huge thumbnail report like once in every 3 months, 6 months, because then it can become like the industry sort of thing where yeah, and people will just pick. And even the newsletter can be another interesting thing I did was ChatGPT the new model is really good at giving basic feedback. So what I did was, if you put a YouTube thumbnail in this, it can give you a couple of feedbacks on why this is good and why this is not. So you can essentially run an automated email and ask people that, hey, give me your email, I'll send you 3 or 5 ways to improve your YouTube thumbnails every week.
Right? Holy shit.
Yep. But yeah, I'm using a lot of ChatGPT nowadays to like do all these audits and give it to people, right?
I mean, by the way, so the report hack, like report on industry hack,
yes,
use AI and then paid ads to the report. No brainer. Or Cody, work with Cody on
I think you could do targeted. So you can target people with a YouTube interest on Facebook ads. So you could probably, I bet you could get under $1 like conversions with something like that, like with a YouTube interest. Because like half the people that are on YouTube are like what the entrepreneur for creator is, right? It's like they want to create, and so they're trying to figure this out, and that's probably who you're going to be selling to. Because like the pros, they have access, they have teams, they have access to the best people in this. But yeah, I think that report, I want that report. and I'm sort of in this space, right? So
I'm shooting both of you guys an email for sure.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, if you're a legend. And by the way, I was just checking your website. I gotta show people this. Hold up.
Okay.
This is what we're dealing with. This guy over here. This is your website. Check it out if you want more of Yash. This homie obsessing over product strategies like bank heists. I like your vibe, Yash. I like your vibe.
Thank you so much for having me here. And sorry I took up more time.
Keep us updated, man. Please, I would love to hear how this goes. I think that we're in in a similar tangential space to what you're in, and like we know people that would want this type of thing. And I feel like it's a no-brainer. It's just going to be figuring out that top of funnel, which it sounds like you have 3 ideas. I would test all 3 of those, see which is the cheapest. And then figuring out that price point of like, is it $19 a month? Is it, $199 a year? Whatever that number is that gets you revenue.
I have a really, really big YouTuber who I'm going to run a demo with, who I can essentially, it's not an ND or anything. Have you guys seen talent recap videos on the internet, right? Where it's just, America's Got Talent, right? So you know how all, any recaps, right? So there's a channel that has like 2 or 3 billion views, and I think they have like 10 or 20 million subscribers. I'm working with them, and I've worked with them before for like a lot of like community stuff, this and that. So I just pitched them this, and they want to do a test of thumbnails and whatnot. So I'm thinking of doing some sort of case study and showing them that, hey, our thumbnail conversion or so and so increased by blah blah blah, and hence, it could just run off a bunch of these. So I'm going to email and the way I got them to reply was I just sent them a PDF report, and I was like, hey, that's the best way. Like, I think anyone who's hearing this, my only thing that I like to tell people is you should give more than you get, and everyone will want to work with you, and everyone will want to like do business with you, right? But yeah, thanks for listening to my TED Talk. Cody and Greg, I'll definitely send you guys emails about like all this stuff. You guys have been too kind and generous with your time.
Cool.
Let me blabber.
Keep us posted, dude.
Yeah,
that
please. Love to see it. Hell yeah.
All right, we're gonna throw some other people on here. Scott, what you got for us?
What is up, guys?
What up, Scott?
Hey. So kind of barnacle on the whale idea. There's a new tool called RB2B that de-anonymizes website visitors. So it'll like 20-ish% of people that come onto a website and bounce, it'll be able to figure out their name, email, LinkedIn profile, job title, all of this stuff, right? So my idea is basically build an agency off the back of that. So you reach out to all of these B2B companies who would love to recover leads that are coming to their website. I've set this up both on my site and ran it with a couple like beta customers. The issue that I ran into is they get a ton of traffic that just isn't actually an ICP fit. So my thought is effectively you set up this pixel on their behalf, make it easy for them, but then you're actually doing all the ICP filtering. So only figuring out who are the actual people that they want to reach out to. And then you set up basically like automatically triggered emails to go out to them. Just handle it all for them and just charge basically a fee for any recovered lead. So it's almost like a cart abandonment service for B2B.
You're speaking Cody's language.
I mean, I'm geeking out over here, just trying to not say anything. What's that company, Greg? Is it retention.com?
Yeah.
So our B2B is like, they had a e-com version and they're like, holy shit, we could just move this into B2B.
100%.
It's the exact same founder and everything.
Totally. So I think you could automate your entire backend with AI. Like, is this lead qualified? Here's our ICP. And so then it's just like, I'm imagining it's just like every person that hits, then it's just like running, right? I mean, this is easily a 15K, 20K a month type service. I would go after anybody with huge sales orgs that like they're just grinding and then deliver them these types of leads. It's, I mean, no brainer, super easy. The hard part will be in getting in front of the decision maker. If you have case studies, that'll be the way to do it. So I you know, something like we you know, with the traffic that you already had, we generated this many more leads. Like that's probably the angle that I would go from. Yeah, man, I think this is a brilliant idea. The only thing that I would be worried about is what's going to happen with data privacy laws over long term. So you probably have a window where it's like, this is going to be a cash printer for the next 2 years or something. And then, you know, boomers are going to realize that, and really everybody is going to realize like, yo, I don't want people to know what I'm doing on the internet. And so they're going to, you know, GDPR is going to move. And we're already seeing this with ads, right? Like, why is everybody going back to traditional marketing practices? Is because ads, the tracking isn't as robust as it was previously. And so I think I think that would be the only downside I see of this type of thing. But yeah.
The nice thing, so our B2B already like filters out all the EU users. So from an agency side, I don't have to worry about that.
Totally.
2 questions for you guys that I could use help with. The first is just like, how would you run lead gen for this? Would you just spin up cold DM and email campaigns, or how would you get, I guess, like those first 10 customers? And then 2, my thought is you could like basically spin up, like copy paste a bunch of different agencies and just be like, we're the win back agency for IT firms, or for like literally just copy paste by niches and spin up 10 different niche websites that all do the exact same thing. Your backend's all the same, but be super specific with like the language that you're using on your website. Thoughts on that?
I would niche down. I would look at like, what are the top lead, you know, like sales driven type of businesses. Like, you know, it's probably like real estate. It's probably, you know, it's probably insurance, all these types of things. And then figuring out, okay, which one do you get the most traction with in the beginning? Do you have you done this at all yet? Or is this just like, you know, super young idea? Where are you at kind of in that process?
Yeah, so I've literally had 2 beta customers. So it's been interesting. The amount of traffic that they get on their website is the sort of key thing, right? If they're not getting 1,500 to 2,000 visitors a month, which isn't that much, but like really SMBs, I thought was actually going to be the space to go after, but they just don't get enough traffic to drive enough lead gen through to make it worth.
I feel like this is something for like a Klaviyo or like, you know, company. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be like B2B SaaS. What I would do is go look who raised their, like anybody that raised an A, be like, yo, like we can get you, like you're already getting traction. Like we can extract more people out of this for you basically.
Right.
And but it would probably, the filter would be like, do they have a sales org already? Like they're past founder led sales, but they don't have like the robustness of being like, you know, super far down the line. I'll get my first customers that way and then start climbing the ladder up into like more enterprise deals. Greg, what's your thoughts?
I would actually go and penetrate the YC community. So
yeah, that could work.
Yeah, not many people know this, but YC has a private social network called Bookface. And so many startups have actually, like, the only reason to go to YC today is to sell to other YC founders.
100%.
Honestly. And there's so many examples, like Lattice, for example, it's like multi-billion-dollar companies scaled by just selling initially on Bookface and 2 other YC founders. So I think if I were you, I would just do everything I can to get into the YC network and create content for the YC network. I also think that organic video around your AI, like anything AI that you've built around identifying, like Cody was talking about on the back end of some of these leads, that's the sort of stuff that you just see go viral on like tech Twitter. So organic video plus YC seems like good places to start.
Totally agree.
Love it.
Yeah, I think that, you're probably going to have to get them young to begin with, and then you're going to get like enough rumblings in the industry that you'll just start to get inbound. And then I would just have, make some type of owned media channel, right? Like literally just a podcast that's like lead gen, B2B lead gen, like just name it. That is the show, the B2B lead gen show. And you just like interview people that are in that
Just pound
space.
that.
Yeah, exactly. And then distribute that out to sales, like anybody with a director title hire. And that's 1,000. This is a great company idea. I mean, you got a huge opportunity here. But again, I'd be worried about. The only thing I'd be worried about is like what happens with compliance, like private data privacy.
I think there's a short. Yeah, this is a cash cow for 12, 24 months.
100%. That's why I always laugh about like revenue or retention or whatever that company. I can never remember the name. But for them, it's like, they grew to like 20 million ARR in like 18 months. And it's like, okay, cool. But like, I don't like personally the longevity of that business. I just don't know based off of what we're seeing on a global scale. As soon as a Commonwealth country adopts one of these, right? Like you see Oz or you see the UK like happen, that it trickles into Canada. It's going to go into the US. It's bound to happen. So
for sure. Can I ask one more question to you guys? Do you have a framework for cold DMs? Like, how do you cut through the noise and seem like a normal human instead of just like pitching right off the bat people that you get 1 million of a day?
For me,
go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, I always include a Loom video, like 60 seconds or less. And how do you prove that you're human? Like you are a human. And what you can do is like in cold email, like screenshot what the Loom looks like with a big ass play button, and then put it in the email, and then like link that
image.
Yeah, link the image. But
I think you could be like, hey, SimilarWeb, like this is probably the structure, the content structure. Like SimilarWeb is saying your website gets XYZ numbers. Like we typically see that with companies that get this much traffic, there's this many leads that we can extract, from their traffic, like more leads than they're currently getting, right?
Right.
And I mean, that's a repeatable thing where it's like you could sit down for an hour, crush, probably 10 of those out, land those, or just, hand them off to a VA or something like that. I mean, probably what this turns out is you initially, and then you have somebody that's like, just, that's all
their only job is to shoot that off all day.
Yeah, exactly. Just all day long, you're basically building those out. I wouldn't use, I don't know. I mean, you can maybe use one of these like AI clones now. I've seen these more and more, like these avatars, but I just feel like this is probably a high touch thing. Guess also at that price point again, like if you're like, yo, it's 15 to 20 grand to do this, like it's totally fine for you to do really manual stuff on that reach out, especially to get that additional. That once you get 10 customers too, this thing will naturally compound as well. Like you will, because all these business owners know each other. They're going to be like, yo, we just increased revenues by 15% quarter over quarter. And all we did was like hire this agency, right? And we paid them 30 grand.
100%.
Like they're going to do that all day. So
love it. Thanks for your time, guys.
Later, Scott. That was dope.
All right. I probably got one more in me, Greg, and then I got to bounce.
All right. Sahil, you're the last one to be blessed by Mr. Cody Schneider.
Hey everybody, how are you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. So I'll not waste any time. I'll start off with the idea that I have. So what I've figured out in recent months is like, since I've been like actively hiring a lot of candidates and also been pursuing a couple of job opportunities, I've seen like a lot of companies generally these companies are small startups or like individuals who are trying to hire. They tend to like use Google Forms or type forms in order to like get applicants to give their information to them. So this part is good. It's free of cost. It's very seamless to create a Google form and just get your leads from those applicants. But what happens after is sort of a nightmare. Like once you start getting like hundreds or thousands of applicants on those particular Google Forms for that specific hiring purpose, it's like very hard for you to sort out through all the resumes that you eventually find in those Google on those sheets effectively. So you have to like sort of manually open each one of them and then like go through them. And the second biggest problem with that is like once you are like up and running with all that sorting, the problem is you are never returning back to the candidates that you have rejected. It's like very rare for a founder to actually go back to those 100 rejected candidates and reach out to them that you have been rejected based on those Google Sheet responses. So what I'm trying to build is sort of a better alternative for Google Forms for specific hiring purposes, where we let you create a sort of a form just like a Google form, but after that, everything else is just very efficient, automated, and you'll get all the leads directly in your like dashboard in a Kanban view, and then you can simply sort them out together. And whatever whoever you basically put down in rejected gets an automated email, and then whoever you basically move ahead and shortlist, they get an automated email, and they get like sort of a Calendly link to schedule your interviews. That's the first part of it. That's the MVP that we're launching on Monday. And yeah, the plans are big after that, but I would really love to hear your feedback on that.
Yeah. Greg, you wanna go first?
Sure. So like the way you portray it is it's like there's Google Forms and you. But in reality, isn't there other hiring platforms that people are using?
For sure. There are a lot of hiring platforms that people are using, like Lever, Darwinbox is big in India. And then there are a couple more others. But the problem with that is either they are super expensive, or it takes a lot of time to set up your branding, your recruiter branding, and like probably get your teammates on board and then start the hiring process. But what I'm offering is basically a one-touch solution to start off by simply creating a form just like you would on a Google form. And then all the leads are basically part of your Kanban board. So it saves you a lot of time and hassle. And if you're an indie hacker, you don't have to like press on get a quote and basically get that company to give you a sales demo. After that, only you can start using it. We are just basically a plug and play software.
I mean, to me, the value add is obviously the UX, but it's also just the price point. Like you're undercutting like those other platforms. From what I understand, are super expensive. So, like to me, like what Zoho has done, which is basically I'm gonna go and copy every single SaaS product and undercut it, is a really great strategy. And
it's that venture-backed one, Greg. It's called like Gem or something like that. Yeah,
exactly.
Gem reminds me of this. But so I'd actually push back. I think I would tap into the Google form. So like something we thought about at one point was like, oh, there's probably a company like, there's probably an opportunity to disrupt SurveyMonkey right now. Because like, what are you trying to do when you get surveys is understand what the data means, right? So like, that's actually the end goal of this. And so, okay, well, what if you from the ground up, you built this like surveys as an, from with AI built in from the ground up, right? So I think the angle I would come from if I was you is like, hey, we are, we're rank stacking for hiring, for applicants. Like we rank stack applicants for you based off of like what you're trying to hire. And then they just drop in like, whatever that ends up being, their like LinkedIn or whatever, or their resume, et cetera. But I think that the go to market, if people are already doing Google Forms and they're like, we're getting, 1,000 different applicants, there's no way that I can measure these against each other. I would be that solution that plugs into that. And then you can probably upsell them into like this other thing. But whenever I'm building anything, what I'm always trying to figure out is like, okay, what are they doing currently? And like, what is the end goal that they're trying to get to with this thing that they're doing currently? And is there some way that I can fit into that workflow? I can always like, I'm going to wedge in here within that timeline, right? But I can always go out from where I wedge in, but I need to find that like place for me to get that initial, because it's going to be way harder for people to convince people to switch from a Google form to like, here's the service you have to adopt, right? But yeah, I mean, this is probably a contradicting viewpoint than like building the whole model. But I think that the differentiator in my mind is like, what you're doing currently with like measuring candidates like effectiveness as an applicant, or like how good they're going to be as an employee. We built this AI tool that does that automatically. And then like to your point, then it's like, it's automatically saying no to people email wise. It's automatically saying yes to people that qualify. and then you just build in, maybe their Calendly links automatically built in, that gets sent out to them. So that whole thing, like, as a recruiter, then or a founder, you're just showing up to meetings. Like, you don't have to think about any of that process, right? So I think that there's something in here. I think it's figuring out, it's like extracting the most valuable piece and like the most time consuming. I've done exactly what you're talking about, right? Like, the most time consuming part of this is measuring the people against each other and like going through that. So like that component of it, that's where I would inject yourself. Figure out, how do I tap into the data that they're already, getting, and then from there you can work your way out and into this like full service platform. But in the beginning, it can be just like a tool, right? It's a tool that attaches itself on to a bigger thing. And if the industry is already doing Google Forms or type forms, etc., like that's an easy way to convince them, like, oh, you already have this set up, like you just plug into us and it's done. Like, we're already, you tell us your the outcomes you're looking, or here's the responsibilities of this person, and then it's just, again, rank stacking those against each other. So yeah.
No, for sure. The thing that we are trying to do initially would be, because after the Google Forms process, you generally end up with a Google Sheets, and that can be exported as a CSV file. So we would definitely allow users to like import a CSV file and basically put it in our dashboard and just sort it out very easily. And then, yes, of course, we have big plans for future, like adding in. Have you ever seen that sort of a tool where you can like chat with a PDF? That had been a very big recently. So we are planning to build a sort of a tool integration into that particular platform where we would let you chat with the resumes. So if you have, let's say, 1,000 resumes, but you have that specific criteria, you can simply chat with the resumes. And then also,
I don't know. So I'm just going to push back. I don't know if people would want that, right? Like, that's the only thing I would say is like, do they want to chat with resumes? Like, this is cool, right? But like, do they want to do that thing? So that, like, use that as the filter, right? Again, what's the job to be done? It's taking 1,000 candidates and turning it into 10 of the best, right? If you tell me that you have a software that does that, and I'm paying somebody 40 hours a week to go and sort these things for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can, just do the math, right? Like, if I'm paying them, we'll say 25 an hour, 40 a week, that's 4,000 a month, whatever, right? And now you're telling me that, okay, we'll charge you 25% of that cost. So it's $750 a month to do that, or whatever that number is, or 10% of what that current cost is. So $400 a month, like that is, in a heartbeat, you'll get people to pay for that thing, because it's something they're doing currently. And you're just augmenting what they're doing, right? It's like saving the time, money, or mental energy. You're doing all three. So that's the deliverable. If I was in your shoes, that's how I'd wedge into this market. Again, you can go, like, you're going to have your customers, as soon as you get that traction, they're going to ask you for so much more. And then just be like, yo, can you just give me a form, like a form builder? Or like, can you just give me, like, where it's like they upload their resume and like their LinkedIn URL, and like, that's it, right? And then you go scrape all the data, you organize all the data, you rank stack all these people. You can go further out. But I think, again, that foothold would be, what is the thing they hate doing right now? It's analyzing 1,000 different candidates. Oh, we automate that for you. That's an easy value prop that you can go and sell. So, and
you do it cheap. Right? And I think from an organic content perspective, like, there's a bunch of tweets that have gone viral that have been like, oh my God, I can't believe I spend $2,500 on Typeform a month. I spend 40 grand a year on Typeform. And I think showing I would basically repurpose some of those tweets and
that's your upsell, right? It's like, yo, you're paying, you'll know too, right? Like, you'll have the volume that's going through their Typeform. You'll be like, hey, like, what you're paying this much. Like, if you switch to our form, like, it's it's a tenth of the cost, right? And so, again, you're always trying to piggyback off of things that are happening. Like, what's the wave that's coming right now? How do I ride that? And then once I'm on that, I can then build out all these other things, right? I can figure out all these upsells. I can figure out that expansion revenue. But again, it's what's the smallest thing that they aren't being serviced currently. So, I mean, to Greg's point too, like, that's probably your GT, like, your go-to-market, right? It's just like, look for tweets of people complaining about form costs and be like, yo, we built this free form thing that analyzes the results. Like, sign up for free, you get 10 free, you can see how it works, or whatever, whatever your free trial, or, whatever your offer is. So.
Cody, you got to run. What are you
Yeah.
up to? What does a guy like Cody do on a
Dude,
day
I'm
in the life?
going to the park. We got a dog date with our friends. I'm gonna probably drink a bottle of wine and get sunburned. So that's my plan for today. But
God bless you, Cody Schneider. Thank you for
anyway,
blessing us. We appreciate
Sahil,
you.
good luck, man. I really think it's super. I mean, I think the whole form and analyzing the data idea, that's a massive opportunity right now. Again, I think like all of these form companies can be disrupted if that's just built into it, right? Again, surveys, you get to your employee piece, and maybe that's your path, right? It's like you wedge in with this employee stuff, and then it can expand. I mean, it's the same process, right? It's like form data. What does this mean? And like that could be the whole tool that you build. So anyway, yeah.
For sure.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
later.
much.
Later,
Yeah,
Cody.
nice to
Thanks,
meet you.
Kyle.
Yeah, keep us informed too. I love this stuff. So
Yeah.
hit me up with the updates. Greg and I both want it. So anyway, we'll see you later.
Later, dude.
Bye.
Cool. Thanks, Sahil. All right. We've just hit 2.5 hours. Woo. That is crazy. That is crazy. Someone reminded me that the Clamato juice, the Caesar, as it's called, is getting cold. So without further ado, I'm going to go grab that, have a sip, and then I'm going to invite some people back to the stage. But to sip on some of that Clamato juice, unfortunately. But let's go grab it. All right. Sarah, I'll be with you in a sec. Welcome.
Hello.
What's going on?
Oh, I was basically in my PJ. But then you sent me the invite. I was like, okay, maybe I'm getting out of my PJ.
I'll sip to that. I'm going to sip. I'll sip to getting out of your PJs and hanging out in front of 137 of your closest friends.
Well,
Cheers.
hello, everyone. What's that?
This is disgusting. So this is a in Canada. Where are you living?
I'm in Berlin, in Germany.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do they have Bloody Marys in Germany?
Yes, they do.
Okay. So in Canada, they do it a bit weird. So they have Bloody Marys, but instead of tomato juice, they put what's called Clamato juice.
What's that?
Now, what is that? Well, they just took tomato juice and made it weird, which is they took tomato juice and they put clam juice in it.
Ooh.
And who wants to drink that? No one, but I'm drinking it because the chat told me to do it, and what the chat tells me to do, I do. So I'm sipping it, and I keep my word. So that's where we're at.
Awesome. Perfect timing.
Yeah. So what do you got for us?
So I spent some time doing some research on the topic of loneliness and relationship. It's kind of like the latest obsession. And there are some like crazy stats that over 1 billion people worldwide are like super lonely. And the majority of this is very, very young, like Gen Z or even underage. And so, like, I was like, why are those people lonely, right? And sometimes those people are lonely even if they are surrounded by people. So not necessarily physically isolated, right? And then I had the idea that is like, what if we could make relationships easy somehow? And I think that to make a relationship easy, you need two things. You need to first train your social skills in some cases. And second, you need to be with people that you're highly compatible with. And those people might not necessarily be in your immediate proximity. And so I thought, okay, let me look who has this problem. And I spent a lot of time on Reddit looking at the Reddit Lonely channel and people that use AI companions, and what they write is absolutely mind-blowing. Like the majority of those people, okay, do not have real friends in real life, and but they would like to. Well, some are perfectly fine just chatting with a chatbot, on their couch. Respect, but others would like instead to have friends in real life. And so I thought about, okay, but then we need to meet them where they are, right? And so I thought about creating a sort of character.ai meets Duolingo for social skills, though not for language training, meets Bumble. So basically, like an AI companion that you can personalize, you can give it a name, like a bit like character.ai. But instead of just talking with a chatbot aimlessly, the goal of this chatbot is to train your social skill so that when you unlock a certain level, then you get matched with people in real life. But it's different from the way that dating app or like friendship app do the matching. You need to be matched with people that are your same readiness level and that you're highly compatible with, so that it's easier for you to bond with those people. That's what I mean, relationship made easy. So you have the training part, and then you have like the matching part. So that's the overall idea.
So, I mean, I think you should explain what character AI is for people who don't know what it is.
Yeah. So character AI is basically ChatGPT, like ChatGPT, but you can give it a personality. So imagine you can create like the psychology character or the training coach character, or I don't know. I saw a very popular Elon Musk, right? And the chatbot, instead of being quite generic, will try to impersonate the character that you create as much as possible.
So so first of all, the whole loneliness epidemic, I buy the fact that especially younger people like can't even look other people in the eye, and it's getting, social skills are getting worse and worse. But is there a big enough market of people who actually want to improve their social skills?
Mm-hmm. From preliminary research, I will say yes, but I don't have yet the numbers to prove it to you. And I did a lot of research if there were some numbers around. Like I really spent some time doing this, and I couldn't find anything. So I'm thinking, okay, how do I validate this thing? And the way I was thinking of proving my assumption is, well, first of all, like doing some ads on Instagram and TikTok, but also start producing organic content on this topic and see if people vibe with this. And then, like, I was thinking, okay, then I can funnel maybe some people into Discord, create a Discord bot. I already started sort of, with a bit of JavaScript, etc., to do that, and then see if the concept holds, right?
Yeah, totally. I have this concept. Some of the people already know it, called the ACP funnel, right? Audience, community, product. So you start with the audience, convert to the community, and then you build the product. So I don't know if this is going to be a really big idea. What worries me is it costs a lot of money to build the product. But I do think there might be another product that might be cheaper to build that actually might end up being the solution. And I think starting with the audience, talking about it, converting a subset of those people into a Discord, but I would definitely grab their email addresses and phone numbers to join it. And then from there, create a product. The issue with like you're not competing with character AI, but character AI for XYZ is that the price to go and build something like that is just high. It's going to cost a lot of money. So you want to make sure that if you're going to be spending XYZ dollars, that you're going to be returning 5x or 10x, 15x. Yeah,
for sure. I know this is something that if you have any sort of traction, you need probably VC money.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think I can build it on my own at all. I have another hypothesis though for like early adopter. There is also like people that have like similar need but different is like people that have gone through a recent breakup or a divorce, and maybe those people are a better payer also because they are usually a bit older. And but if you think about it, they need kind of the same, right? So like I have this persona in mind that is like, okay, so maybe this person is like 30 something, 35, 38 or so. They just gone through like a divorce. All their friends are like in a relationship or have kids, so they don't really have time, but and also you don't want to like always talk about how heartbroken you are to your friends, because after a while it's boring, right?
Totally.
And so maybe you need like an AI companion that that doesn't get bored no matter how much you say, oh my god, I'm heartbroken or stuff like that, right? And then you can also sort of like help those people transition from their previous relationship to the new one, like sort of bridging them, and then match them with their ideal romantic partner.
Yeah, I mean, I think that to me is like niching down in a way. So I think that focusing on them is probably where I'd start. And also from an audience building perspective, it's just a lot more clear like what you'd actually create. And so that's what I would do if I were you. I'd build an audience, focus on one of those, and then see where it goes, right? Like you never know where the audience is going to take you. So thank you so much for coming up. I'll sip some Clamato to that, unfortunately.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it.
And come back soon.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
All right, we have 2 more people that we are going to bring up, and then I gotta go. I really gotta go. So I'm already getting late. So let's bring you. How do I pronounce your name?
It's Jovanka if you're in the States, and if you're anywhere else in the world, it's Jovanka, but you can call me Joe.
Interesting. Well, welcome, Joe. Thanks for joining us, and I like your T-shirt. And
Thank you.
And what's on your mind?
Well, thank you, one, for inviting me, Greg. You have become like my brown noise, my green noise. Like I listen to you so much. My son is like, "Are you listening to Greg?" Like, so I thank you for having me up, and thank you for being, on socials and allowing me to find you. So I have a couple of things. I know I sent you a few of them.
Yeah.
And just between Josh and Paulo, and Paulo, just so many different things. So just tell me which one. Do you want a fun one or do you want a hardcore one?
I want the one that speaks to you the most.
Okay, so then that would be like the first one, which would be the assistant for the ADD or the ADHD or the manic entrepreneur. I think one of your podcasts you had earlier this week where you had the manic entrepreneur.
That's right.
And I so identify with that. So what I've been doing with, thank God for GPT-4o and some of the other platforms and apps and stuff, I've built an AI. Well, I call her my friend. Her name is June, right? So I call it June. So June kind of automates, and pardon, I'm redoing my office, so pardon the mess. June automates a lot of the tasks that people that have ADD or ADHD or just have that I don't feel like participating in adulthood today, but we have to make our money. So she goes through a lot of the mundane tasks that need to get done. And then let's say, God forbid, there's an urgent email from, your child's school or, your job, if you have a regular 9 to 5, it will notify you so that you can address that issue. But everything else, I'll say, okay, today I want to work on this app, tailor-made. You were talking about resumes. So I have another app where you upload your LinkedIn profile, whatever you want to say about yourself, your resume, and you upload the JD, the job description, and it will create a tailored resume specifically for that job using language and everything. So it's not lying or anything like that, but it's just really niching down and speaking to that job description. So, so this way you have a better chance of, and it's not AI because it is you, so these are just some of the things. So she does that for me. June takes care of it. I'm like, okay, so I gave her specific instructions. This is what I need you to do. Ask questions, and then build the roadmap, show me, what needs to be done, what resources are needed, and things like that. And, I think it works for me. And it works for a few other of my friends, that have high level positions and they just don't feel like working sometimes. And they're like, Joe, can you just send me that? So on the GPT store, I've been doing a few things. So that one has like really been what I've been working on because I have a crap ton of ideas.
Yeah.
Like one of your podcasts, you're talking about ideas. Literally, I have ideas upon ideas, but they never get completed because ADD and ADHD.
Right.
So it's helped a lot. So I wanted to get some feedback on what you thought about, like, maybe a subscription base or something, or what you thought, a sip, a dip, a pip, what?
No, so this is a sip. In on paper, it's a sip. And I want to talk more about that. So I think that the idea of building products for people with ADD and ADHD, there's just not enough products for that community, period. And I think that people who have ADD or ADHD, like they, it's kind of like real recognizes real. Like they understand other people who have it, and it is it's not just drugs that are going to help, right? I think agents could help more than drugs in a lot of ways. Sometimes. So I think I love the idea. It's kind of similar to what we were talking about with Sarah. In terms of ACP funnel, like I'd start with an audience around just like building, talking about ADD and ADHD and tips and breaking it down, and also like famous people who have ADHD. Like I think that would, be really cool to learn about. Like, okay, Julius Caesar had ADD, and this is like how he lived his life, and like let me tell you the story. So you're leaning on the credibility of other people. I think I would probably use Twitter to start to build that audience, and I would create threads that a lot of them have videos because that's just what's working on the algorithm right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I think in terms of like the product, here's like the reason why I'm like about the product is like, yes, I believe that something like this should exist. Same like I believe that something like this should exist for Sarah. But the issue is to build what you want, even if you're using something, someone mentioned Crew AI, which I think Crew AI would help. It's basically, you can go to their website, but AI agents for real use cases. So it's an open source tool that a lot of, everyone here should check out. I just think that building what you want to build is going to be a lot of money and expensive and that sort of thing. So I wonder if you can just do the same sort of strategy as Sarah. You build an audience, you build a community, maybe you do some like lightweight AI,
like a watered down
a watered down version to start, and then eventually sort of build up. But I like the idea. To me, it's a sip, and thank you for coming up and sharing it with us.
Thank you. Can I ask you about one more?
A whole other idea.
Holder, yes. Told. You don't have to give me input. You can just say a sip or drip.
Okay, sip or spit. I'll give you a sip or spit.
Yeah.
People in the chat.
Sip or spit.
Yeah.
So, so many people, I watch YouTube. That's my guilty pleasure, as with most, and of course, you look at the luxury travel and the people that are doing, the A7 or the A380, from, I'm bi-coastal. I live in New York and I live in Dubai, so. Yeah. It's pretty expensive, if you want to fly business and first, and I usually don't. So I found, like skip lag and stuff like that. So I kind of created my own scraper where you can do, like, if you have time. Some people have time, they have a little extra money, and you're free with your schedule. If you can find a first class ticket to Sydney for $600. But you have to go through, Kuala Lumpur or something like that. But you're still flying first class from New York So that's
I mean,
something I've been working on too.
yeah.
So that's it. That was just a sip.
So wait, so how is that? Is that just like a first class version of Skip Lagged?
It is. But it's for people that have have an open itinerary. They don't care. It could be 2 years from now. They don't care. They just want to fly first class for
Ooh, I like
$600.
that one. That's a sip for. I mean, it's a sip. Like I think it's a good idea because I've used Skip Lag before, and it's worked really well, and it's kind of like a hack. But I think that's a good small business idea that you can create and just go to Upwork and just be like, this is what you need.
I'm working like the framework. I use your funnel system.
Yeah, exactly.
So I use like a lot of your stuff. Like, thank you so much. You have no idea. Like, I make AIs out of like almost everything you say. I make a bot to help me carry it out. So yeah, that one I'm working on that one. So that was actually coming out soon. I just don't have a name for it. But I've been working on the framework for it, because who doesn't want to save money? Who doesn't want to fly first class?
Exactly. Period.
So,
come on.
yeah.
How do you not sip to that? Okay. And
Yeah.
people are loving it too. Not just me in the chat. People are loving it. And
Thank you.
Jamil even says, I love Joe. So
Thank you. I love you guys too.
yeah. So lots of love
Thank
for
you.
Joe. Lots of sips for Joe. And you got to come back again. Come on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the sipping on the nasty stuff. I have some homemade lemonade.
Oh, yeah. Love that.
But I appreciate you and having me up, and I'm gonna add value to you. That's been my biggest takeaway, like adding value. So I'm stalking you, like you said, so I can add some value.
I love it. All right. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks so much, guys. Thank you so much.
All right. Last but not least, patiently awaiting.
How's it
Isaac.
going?
I'm sorry, I was seeing you waiting there, and I was like, sorry, but we got to you.
No worries. I'm happy to be on here. I've been following your stuff and Cody's stuff for a while now, so it's cool to be on here. I didn't think I would be doing this on my Saturday, so that's awesome. I'll jump into it. So I sent you an Instagram message. I've been a marketer for like 7 years. I just left a B2B software company. They're like Series C, and I joined around seed. And I was just kind of sick of the VC hamster wheel, because like only 1 out of 100 people actually have a good end result. And so I wanted to do a startup, and I was kind of inspired by you and like Andrew Wilkinson. And I wanted to do something that I had experience in. So I was looking around at all of these digital marketing certification companies like digitalmarketer.com, Career Foundry, and some other ones. And I was like, this space looks like it's a little old. I thought their marketing was like a 6 out of 10, seemed really expensive. They only posted like a couple hundred times a year rather than.
Oh shit, he's gone. He's back.
And I'm back. And I looked at the space, and I just thought, I estimated like these 5 companies probably do about 30 million a year in revenue for like digital marketing certifications. And I thought maybe somebody could just come in with a more modern approach towards remote work, and hire professors who are already marketers at companies like Google and Netflix and Airbnb. So I've been working on that for like the last 2 months and launched that. So I wanted to get your feedback on that, because I can either keep going with that, or I can just build a B2B SaaS marketing agency.
What's the name of it?
It's called Remote Marketer. I sent you on Instagram kind of like some context and links, so you can just get a quick visual.
Remotemarketer.com, is that what it's called?
It's with a dash between remote and marketer. Couldn't afford the real one.
Okay, we're gonna pull it up, and we're gonna share screen.
This is just a boot camp page. So my thinking was, cool, let's do a free boot camp, send YouTube traffic to it, make everything free, and then if anybody wants help, like we can have a course that I'll build out later in the year with like professors from like Adobe and Stripe who are actually marketing teachers. And I just like the idea of having digital products and having like an audience. So I went with this, but I realized it's a lot different than like B2B SaaS marketing. So any questions?
Like how's this going? Like how's the funnel working?
So I've done like 9 videos on YouTube, 3 like long videos and like 6 shorts. I have like close to 1,000 views. I haven't got much traffic through here, but my thinking was just post like 2,000 times a year on YouTube.
Yeah.
have all the content go on Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., and implement ads. So it's pretty early, but close to like 1,000 views for like 9 videos with a lot of shorts.
And so the question is basically, should you continue? I mean, you can still keep this top of the funnel, but should you build the boot camp, like a paid boot camp, or should you just focus on B2B SaaS marketing?
Yeah, like should I further develop this out and compete with like digitalmarketer.com and like a Career Foundry and some of the other courses? It's kind of like I'm trying to build like a Lambda school, but for marketing, if you know what Lambda is.
But why would you pivot so early? Like, what makes you want to pivot so early?
Because like I get a couple messages a month of just inbound requests asking for B2B SaaS marketing help, just because I've been doing it for like 5 years, and I'll get like 3 startups a month, and I keep turning them down, and I'm like, I feel like I'm just saying no to money. Just like,
and you can't do both. You don't think you can do both?
I probably could. I mean, I could do both, but I was like, oh, splitting focuses. I'm not Elon Musk. I should do one thing.
Yeah, but nothing's changed in terms of your thesis on the bootcamp, right?
No. I think both could work, but I was like, should I have stayed in the lane I was in and keep building an agency for that, or I don't know. It was just kind of.
Could you hire someone to either do the bootcamp stuff, like even when I say hire, maybe even partner, like basically, I'm just trying to think, like, if you want to focus only on mostly on the 2 things, right? Let's just say you can focus on 2 things: the front door, which is going to be creating YouTube content and free bootcamp. And then the second thing is, let's just say the agency. Maybe you'll spend the other 50% of your time on the agency. Could you find someone can you just do a deal with someone who either wants to start an agency or has a small agency and be like, we'll split the revenue?
I could, yeah. I can have 2 partners I have a twin brother who's also in marketing and SaaS. So like I kind of have a clone. So I can do that with him. And then I also
you had a clone? You had a clone?
Yeah.
You didn't lead off with that?
No. I'm used to it. But the agency, I can start with him because he's a B2B SaaS marketer, and then also one of our old bosses who's like a VP and has more experience and like a bigger network. So like I could do that. I was like, oh, everybody says in entrepreneurship you need to focus and not do multiple things.
But you're not doing multiple things if you have a clone or someone like that partner. Right.
Yeah. He has a full-time job at a seed stage startup. So it's like he's slammed.
So yeah. I mean, my advice to you is, if you would have told me like, I'm not really sure on this bootcamp thing, and here's the reasons why, that's one thing. But I think if you never go back to if you never end up doing the paid bootcamp thing, it's always going to be like a what if. So until you learn that, I would stick with it, but I would find a way to refer. I mean, saying no to potential clients is
kind of dumb,
right? Because at the very least, you can refer them to another partner, and at the very least get 10% of the revenue. Like literally, like at the very least. So
that's true.
Then the next level of that is you strike a real partnership with another potential partner, and they do the fulfillment, or a small group, and you split it maybe 30% or 40%. So that's my quick feedback on that idea. I would just say don't give up on it. Like I think the idea of like digital marketer certifications and boot camps, done in 2024 is a great idea. And there's like a bunch of proven ways around how you can acquire traffic, how you can convert that traffic, and then how you can monetize that traffic. I feel like you're just seeing the dollar signs come in with the agency stuff, and it's conflicting.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So, I really appreciate that. Thank you, man.
My pleasure. All right. Thanks, Isaac.
Awesome. All right. See ya.
Take care. And just like that, we've hit 3 hours live. When I woke up this morning, I definitely didn't think I'm going to be drinking Clamato juice for 3 hours in front of a bunch of amazing people from the internet. But we did it, and we had a good time. I want to thank you for showing up on your Saturday and spending time with me and everyone here. This was really fun, and if you had fun, maybe you can just share the channel, share the podcast, Startup Ideas podcast, with your friends. You can get more of me on my newsletter. You can go sign up. It's gregeisenberg.com. I have a feeling a lot of you are already subscribers. You can check out communityempire.co for folks who are interested in the ACP funnel. There's a free course. You can just go check that out. And wow, this was fun. I'm looking for feedback on this, and I would love to know if this, how I can make this better. We did a brainstorm the other day, and it was not nearly as fun and as good as this because we couldn't bring people on stage, and now we are able to bring people on stage. So that was huge. So again, enjoy your weekend. Hope it's got the creative juices flowing, and I'll sip to you all. Cheers. Later.